Going up on a Tuesday. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. Mornings from Sharp and Handley. Good morning to everyone, especially all of you that are able to make it safely to work or to school, wherever you might be headed this morning, as you navigate the potholes that seem to be everywhere in our
Yeah.
fine city. Depending on which street you are on, what major intersection you're at, there are potholes galore. So
72nd and Dodge.
I'm memorizing the
Horrible.
lanes where they are and on the way home, and so when I turn, I'm like, "Get in that lane, go to that lane, go to that lane," and so it begins.
72nd Street appears to be a little bit of an issue. From 72nd and Dodge all the way to I-80.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may lose either a tire, a ball bearing. You may lose part of your vehicle. You may even, if you're driving like a small vehicle, lose your entire vehicle in
Yep.
some of the potholes that are on 72nd Street.
Priuses are doomed.
Was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago when it was running rampant. And I mean, you saw crews out round the clock trying to fill them in. And then they started kind of reinforcing the fill-ins. They had the temporary band-aids. And
Yeah.
they're like, you know what, we need something bigger. And then, this is going to piss our longtime friend Neil Nelkin off. But I know it might be a separate budget, but do we need to put emphasis on the streetcar and make sure we take care of our potholes? We like to brine a lot. I noticed that. We are big fans of brining before.
You know what? I'm
2 days
okay
before.
with brining.
That's fine, but it's
The
it can't
public
be-
works, the fine men and women that work in the public works, when I see them out there putting brine on the street.
Oh, they get brine happy though. There's days
Yeah.
where it's like, did it already snow? Because it's just white. Like the pavement's just white.
Yeah, that's probably
be good.
the least exciting thing that they are wanting to do is
Well,
be out
yeah.
patching potholes right now. But I'm just saying 72nd may need some attention.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. But it may be a ploy by the city to make sure that the streets will get so bad that regardless of where you live, you'll be forced to ride the streetcar.
God, you know what? She's smart.
Is this streetcar actually
Jeez.
going to happen? Because
Yeah, it's happening. It's
He's
happening despite
calculated.
Warren Buffett, who was in the New York Times over the weekend with a story about how he is, as we already know, opposed to the streetcar.
Don't see the point.
Oh, the streetcar's coming, man. They're breaking ground tomorrow on the Mutual of Omaha building downtown. The streetcar is on the way. Omaha's a-changing now.
What does
just
that building
watch.
look? What does that building look like again?
I'm not supposed to say it. I can only say that word once
Oh,
a week.
once. Okay.
Yes.
You already
Yes.
spent that yesterday. You got
Yeah.
4 more days to go.
You know what? Usually you go early with that.
Early in the week.
Yes.
It's a good pick me up.
Yes. So if you are out and about, we welcome you in on a Tuesday. Just good luck. And I hope you have better luck than Nebraska men's basketball, which got the news that was inevitable that Vanderbilt was out for the year, is going to have knee surgery. And so Nebraska basketball, which at one point did beat Creighton. I think people forget about that, Nick.
They did.
They beat Creighton.
They beat Iowa, too. Iowa's
They
playing.
beat Iowa. They took Purdue, number 1 in the country,
Yeah.
to overtime. Remember all those things that happened during the course of this basketball season, which has still got a ways to go.
Oh, yeah.
But they are in little dire straits. Good group, by the way. Good group. One of the rare groups that I think retired and stayed retired. Hello, Brooks and Dunn. But Nebraska basketball is down 2 starters. They are injured. They already, were kind of depleted. They don't have a lot of frontline Big Ten guys. They have a nice complementary 3, 4, and 5 guys on a Big Ten roster. And now they still have a fairly good amount of the season to go, but are going to be decimated. And I'm thinking the whole time, and I always say this, Nebraska basketball fan is about as loyal as any fan base in America.
Agreed.
Because it's just one thing after another, and you keep getting back up, and you keep going to the games, and you keep supporting, and you keep wishing and hoping that one day Nebraska would be like Northwestern.
Yeah.
Like Northwestern.
Which isn't it's not a big ask.
Northwestern last night beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So Northwestern is in the NCAA conversation. But I'm thinking of this whole time, and you can use the word cursed or whatever. Why can't Nebraska basketball ever gain momentum?
Damn good question.
It doesn't matter which coach it is. It could be Danny Nee. It could be Barry Collier. It could be Doc Sadler. It could be Tim Miles. It could be Fred Hoiberg. Why can't Nebraska basketball keep momentum and just keep the train moving outside of a rare year here or there?
Yeah, 2014, Danny Nee Big 8 title are probably, and that's a long stretch of time. And we're talking about, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're not talking about just going on an absolute tear of a heater in January where you rattle off 10 of 11. Just stack 5 wins together.
Like Miles' team, they caught lightning in a bottle.
Right, in 2014.
And they got hot and they rode that into the NCAA tournament. But you can use the word curse. That's what I could think of yesterday. It's such a black cloud that surrounds Nebraska basketball. Just when you have something nice, it just completely disappears. And in this year where, everybody knows what's on the line, thinking good start, different team, feels way too much like year one, which, okay, you reset your roster, but you have some holes on your roster. But they do things that give you a chance when you are playing similar teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Back at the first Sunday in December, ironically, when Cincinnati and Kansas City played, I remember that day very well. You win at Creighton, and you're like, man, could this team string enough together where they could sneak into the NIT?
Right.
And that would be acceptable considering the previous 3 years of Fred?
Yeah, be exciting.
Here we go. And then all of a sudden, injuries start mounting, and you go from the roller coaster of the Illinois game to a week later, the Ohio State game. And then the just disappointing news yesterday. I mean, it's unfortunate, but Vanderbilt, who, along with Gary, 2 of their better defensive players, they're fun to watch. They're on-ball defense. And then to add on that's it for Vanderbilt at the end of his college career. I'm thinking, man, this is a program that hasn't won a game in the NCAA tournament and is one of those, they're on a rare island of teams that are in that category that are Power 5/Power 6, is Nebraska basketball just cannot gain any momentum whatsoever. And, I blame Trev. Remember, he handed out the black shirts. Remember that?
That is true.
Who did the 2 people he handed the black shirts to?
After the Creighton game, Vanderbilt and Gary.
Yeah. Trev, it's your fault. I kid because I care. But it's just one of those things. All I could think yesterday is, you're coming also into this year, and McPherson gets injured before the year even you start to roll the basketballs out in September. You're like, man, this program just walks into the wall time after time after time. And then to compound this, and it's got to be, it's one of those things, I'm sure if you're inside of the program every single day, you're like, what? I turn left, I turn right, something pops up. And especially this year in a Big Ten conference where there's a lot of parity. I mean, there could be 9 to 10 teams that could make the NCAA tournament. And it's not like the Big Ten outside of Purdue is overwhelming. I mean, it's very manageable to go to be like the 9th or 10th team, and you're going to sneak into the NCAA tournament, which would be a huge accomplishment for this program. But this is a basketball program that for a long time has never been able to gain any momentum. There are times along the way where it's been about coaching, roster development, roster management, roster construction. And then there's just been flat out, and this program has a terrible run of bad luck. And yesterday was another one of those to lose a starter for the year. Not for a couple of weeks, for the year.
Yeah. And I think about the past few years, going back to the end of the Miles era into Fred, you'll see a program where you're just going to have that 1 year of really bad luck. And you're going to have, the injury bug and just all of a sudden for a team that maybe has an identity of being a good shooting team or a team that has a good defensive team, you don't play to that script. You just have that year. It's interesting though with Nebraska because it's always something. Yet the injuries you feel like are cyclical. If you had bad injury luck the previous year, chances are you're going to be a little bit better off the following year. And Nebraska, it seems like it's always a couple of injuries pretty consistently. We already know about the offense, especially under Fred Hoiberg right now. But, this kind of goes back to what you said about the fans. and when you mention Northwestern, I think there's always going to be a case to be made about still some section of Nebraska fans that you could say, yeah, are still living in the 90s and still have unreasonable expectations for the football program. I think a lot of people have moved on from that. I think a lot of people would appreciate just the joy of playing a football game in December. But there's still that success to draw from. There's still that, I mean, even in the Bo era where you could say, hey, 9-10 win seasons there, playing in a conference title game, like that wasn't so long ago. And so I get that for baseball even, okay? Big Ten championship just a couple of years ago. A lot of NCAA tournament appearances, even under Darren Erstad. You look at men's basketball, really 2014 was such a rarity, but you look at all of those missed opportunities, yet the fans continue to come because there's not this great pinnacle of accomplishment for this basketball program that you can look to as of recent and say, man, remember when we used to make the NCAA tournament year in and year out? Remember when we got to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament? Remember when we got to the Elite Eight? Remember when we won the conference tournament? You don't have that. So it's modest expectations. It always will be. And that's where I always felt like whichever coach, this is before Fred got hired, so whichever coach, you have sort of an advantage that a lot of the other sports don't have. And that is, it's tempered expectations. Just get us to the NCAA tournament. Be one of 68 teams in Division I basketball to go to the NCAA tournament. If you could do that, and heaven forbid you actually knock down a win, what we always say about Fred, like you get that one win, there's going to be a statue. Just think about that compared to programs that like, well, Final Four or bust, or Elite Eight or bust, or in football programs, all right, top 15 or bust, college football playoff or bust. We just want to see you go to the NCAA tournament once in like 4 years and maybe win a game. And so, and this isn't like, I'm not trying to complain about this. Isn't me bagging on Fred. This is kind of furthering your point about the bad luck. And I like the way you put it, because not being able to have sustained momentum, I think for this program more than any other program, both, male and female athletics in Nebraska, I can't think of a program where there's a lot of support. I mean, continuous blind support, yet you just never get that. And we keep coming back for more. Mm-hmm. And the Creighton game, the Iowa game, there's always that hint of every season that you can point to, and you're like,
people forget Nebraska beat Creighton.
Yeah. And I feel like every season, almost every season, has that moment of like, this could be it. And I mean, we're a glutton for punishment, obviously, but I mean, you start to think that you're like, okay, you can point to a couple of things like, I think this is where we actually get the breaks. I think this is where we can stack success. And then you're brought back down to reality. And I mean, that is kind of Nebraska basketball in a nutshell right now. And yesterday was just another example of the cruelty of being a Husker basketball fan right now.
They play Northwestern tomorrow. Boo Booey will be in town.
Yeah.
Which that was a brick fest in their postponed move to Monday
typical
game.
Wisconsin game, I feel like.
Wisconsin would be, well, everybody would take Wisconsin's success.
Heck yeah, you would.
But they're tough to watch, I think, over an extended period of time.
Yeah, because I feel like when I say that, I'm like blasting Wisconsin. I would give anything to have their profile. They know what they do. They know what they want to do, and they're winning games by doing so. But yeah, it's exactly right. It's not easy to watch.
They're not aesthetically pleasing.
No,
but they win. But this is a year where if you could have gotten to 9th or 10th, because now the thought is, okay, how many more games Nebraska basketball are going to win? Can they win 2 more? Can they win 3 more? But this is the year. If you could have gotten to 9 or 10, the way the whole NCAA is set up, you could have snuck into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be a slog to the rest of the year, and it will challenge the headman, which we'll get into, because do you try and squeeze out as much as possible, or do you pivot while you balance the end of this season to, okay, let's see what we have for 23-24, not knowing that you will be back.
Well, and doesn't it always feel like they're starting over too?
Yeah, and that's the thing about this year is a little bit frustrating, concerning, is the way your roster was built. It was kind of to make a run this year and then figure it out for next year.
Yep.
but you were hoping that you would get momentum this year, that it could carry over to next year while you added some pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the major challenge. So it's just the question is, do you pivot now and start working on next year with, you're 20 games into the season. So you still got double figure games that are left. All right. Welcome in, everybody. There's Nick, as you heard, Jimmy as well. Coming up in about an hour, Sam McKewon will stop by. Yesterday was a busy day for Nebraska. 3 pickups. So they're up to 100 scholarships. Yeah, boy. Sam McKewon from the World Herald to stop by. Brian Christopherson as well, as not only is Nebraska up to 100 scholarships, 36 newcomers. And out of the portal, 7 have come from the SEC. Have we decided? I know Josh and Connor were talking about this. So 3 of the players that are coming to Nebraska are from Georgia.
Yep.
I think one thing we're seeing in the portal, and this is kind of new to Nebraska, but it's really not new in the portal era. There are certain programs where you have connections, where you are trying to assist players with the questions they have. If you play at Georgia and you want to know about Matt Rule at Nebraska, hey, you have somebody that coaches at Georgia that has familiarity with Matt Rule. You ask the question.
Yeah.
And then that person says, good guy, this would be a great landing spot for you for whatever. And I think we've seen that, whether it be at Texas A&M or at Georgia. But Nebraska has gotten 7 of the 11 portal guys have come from the SEC. And yesterday, they got 3 high schoolers, 2 high schoolers and a portaler, an offensive lineman, to say yes. So we'll get Sam's thoughts coming up at 7:30. Brian Christopherson stops by at 9 as well, because part of yesterday's haul was out of the state of Texas. So we'll get BC's thoughts as well on what can we expect in the future for the state of Texas and how much it will lead to numbers in Nebraska's recruiting class. They currently have 6. I think the expectation from here on out would be 5 to 7 every year. If you've gone Texas heavy with the construction of your staff and your familiarity in that state, I would think moving forward, 5 to 7 would not be an unreasonable think of how many guys from the Lone Star State will end up at Nebraska. But Nebraska's back in Texas, and they got 2 yesterday. So that is
Bob Wager too. So.
That is the lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. That was a interesting night in basketball last night, whether it be Kansas losing their 3rd straight or officiating and late game situations, which, let's go to the monitor. Well, we don't do that because we're on radio, but we will discuss what happened at the end of the Duke game and also a late night game in the Mountain West Conference that had quite an interesting ending to go to the monitor. We'll dive into that and much more. Plus, we'll talk more about the Final Four of the NFL as the line has shifted between Cincinnati and Kansas City. I don't know what the Bengals are going to have to use as a chip on their shoulder because now they are a favorite. And now we just figure out how high of a favorite they're going to be.
You should be happy.
Cincinnati should be a favorite in this game. I have no qualms with Cincinnati being a favorite. I'm wondering how high the line will get.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to be 2.5, 3.5? But Cincinnati should be the favorite. I have no problem saying that out loud. I mean, Mahomes is 0-3. Mahomes has got a bad ankle. They've really shut down Kansas City offensively in their 3 meetings. I mean, Joe Burrow has played really, really well. No, I mean, week 13, Kansas City was kind of their own worst enemy. But I think Cincinnati should be favored. And the line finally flipped to the right side. But I don't know what Zach Taylor's going to find on the internet to get his team fired up.
They're fine.
All right, 625. Plus, you have a chance to win part of my booty, which is now $400.
Yes,
$400. Coming up in the next hour, the cue to call if you're the 4th caller, and you have the stat of the day, which we're going to give to you before this hour is over. You'll walk away with $400. Now, here's the situation. Some of us are rooting for chaos. We don't have a winner. It goes to $500 in the 9 o'clock hour.
Then that becomes badonkadonk status.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But then that's special.
It is. We haven't experienced this yet. We've all hoped, just for our own selfish reasons, to see this thing like balloon.
It's big.
Hasn't got there yet.
Badonkadonk. Was that a Brooks and Dunn commercial?
A commercial?
Or a song?
Excuse
me.
There's somebody.
Is it Brooks and Dunn though?
It's a country song.
Honky tonk, badonkadonk.
Badonkadonk.
But it's not Brooks and Dunn. I'm trying to remember.
Is that Alan Jackson?
It might be. I've mentioned Brooks and Dunn twice because when I was driving in today, I was listening to a station, and they are coming back. They broke up.
Trace Adkins.
Okay. My next guess is going to be
So Brooks and
Not
Dunn
him.
broke up.
Yeah.
Right? They went their separate ways. And then as all groups do, when they go their separate ways, somebody does a solo career.
Yep.
And they do a tour. But they were like broken up, and I thought they were retired. And I heard the commercial today, and I'm like, do bands ever really retire? Like, do they, when they say,
No.
they say, this is it, this is our last tour, Elton John. And then the next thing you know, 2 years later, they're back for a final tour.
Because you always have to get the band together. So, and someone's always clamoring for a reunion. I would say the percentage is less than 25% of when you first hear that, yep, we're done. We've disbanded or we're retired. But that's the last time you're ever going to see them perform together. You may not personally see them, but that you'll hear about them performing. That never happens. There's always a reunion tour. I don't know if it's like when you just retire and you get bored and it's in your blood, or hey, in some cases probably need the money too. Maybe some sloppy investing.
Everybody has their price.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So I'm excited that Omaha's one of the stops for the reunion of Brooks and Dunn. I probably won't be there.
How shocked are you that a country act is making its way into Omaha? It doesn't seem like it happens very often.
Not a lot.
I mean, Garth Brooks retired. And then Garth Brooks were like, you know what, we could make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Garth Brooks is still touring.
Well, yeah, and
this is like 4 years into his U.S. stadium tour.
Selling out big
the stadium
stadiums.
tour is still going on. And I mean, it was what, 2 years ago now? 2 summers ago in Lincoln? We got excited about, they're selling beer here.
I mean, remember George Strait's final tour, and that's like 10 years ago.
And isn't
I
George
saw him in
Strait-
2020.
George Strait is old too. Oh, he's old.
Yeah, he can still sing though.
Yep.
He can still wear a crisp pair of blue jeans.
Yeah.
And a cowboy hat with a big old belt buckle and a collared shirt.
The way
tucked
that
in.
it should be, Gary. The way that it should be. The way that I know my country artists.
It's the last concert I went to before COVID, so late January 2020.
See, I thought the Padonkadonk also might be Toby Keith. That could be a Toby Keith.
That was one of the comments in the stream.
I've been
Good
to
guess.
his bar in OKC. That's fun. It's big.
I think he's doing better. He had a
Hope so.
little
Yeah.
health issue. Because I don't recall, he didn't come here for the Oklahoma game this last September, did he?
No.
Mm-mm.
Him or Jim Ross. They were not on the sidelines.
Toby is, and that's.
Oh, he's a huge
Big.
booster. I've seen him.
He
I've seen
supports
him
everything. I've
sit in
seen him at basketball.
Yeah, I've seen him courtside at Lloyd Noble. I think Oscar says 2 groups that retired and will never come back: Slayer and Pantera.
Oh, Pantera.
Dimebag Darrell's dead.
That would make it difficult
Pantera
for them to come
was-
back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they did come back, just like Tupac, it would be an amazing show, and I would
Whoa.
buy a ticket just to see how they'd pull it off.
Is it, what's the singer names for Pantera? Is he still
Bill
around?
Anselmo. He's still alive.
Yeah.
Man.
Walk. Effing hostile.
I don't-
This
I
is- this
don't-
is what
I
would get-
I
high
don't
school
believe in the
concerts.
music
Yeah,
industry
this would-
you ever retire.
This would get me yoked before a high school match, whether it was baseball, basketball, football. Usually football. That was a little bit more on the football side.
You just call it a match?
A match, a competition,
Scrum.
a challenge.
Brouhaha.
Never heard of a game?
match. A game.
I've never heard of a
Well, I don't want to pigeonhole
American football, basketball, or baseball called a match.
I didn't want. I was talking also with other sports that other people might have been involved in. I don't want to just pigeonhole to games, to matches, to competition,
Thinking about this weekend's Chiefs Bengals
challenges, to competition,
Aren't the-
athletic challenges.
Aren't the Rolling Stones about to go on another tour?
I'm sure they are.
Many Farrell.
Is Elton John done, or is he just going to end up in Vegas doing a residency?
There you go.
I
Like Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden? It's a must go attend.
Yeah.
Now that he has taken
feel
up a
like
residency
he's
at Madison Square
probably
Garden.
done. I have a feeling
Elton
he's
John?
done. Yeah.
So
Now-
it's true when he went down the final yellow brick road.
Yeah. I
They picked up the road, and so
I
he can't
think
walk
so.
back down it again.
yeah. It's like, sorry, man.
Everybody ends up doing a residency in Vegas. I mean, Tom Brady
We
is
torched
looking like
that
he'll
one.
do it next year. I mean, it's
I don't know about I can't see Elton John saying, you know what, I'm gonna do one more go at this thing.
We've hit Oscar's wheelhouse here in the Equitable Bank inbox. He says Cher.
Right.
Cher
Has retired.
has she? But is this the first time?
I don't know.
Is this the only time?
Remember Kiss said they were retiring.
Oh yeah,
and they were taking off the makeup. And Kiss has been out on the road periodically.
Yeah, weren't they just in? They were in Sioux City not too long ago. Were they not?
Kiss?
I thought they were.
Like the real Kiss?
Yeah, the real Kiss. No, not like a cover band. Not like one of the real good Kiss cover band. I could have swore Kiss. Remember what? Okay, not a few years ago when they opened up the new Harris property out there.
Really?
I could have swore Kiss was one of the
headliners. Were they in makeup or no?
I think they were in makeup.
Okay,
I think this was
because I don't think I could go see Kiss if they weren't wearing makeup.
No, it'd be weird. I mean, why would you go?
By the way, Robert on the stream says Pantera is back on tour.
Are they?
See, no one ever retires. Like Mini Kiss, they've never retired.
People, as long as there's a demand,
which sometimes they sound better than real Kiss. You ever seen Mini Kiss?
Seen Mini Kiss.
Never have.
It would be worth it if you can. Let me pull it up.
Can we see? Are they close by anytime soon?
Let's just say they will not be playing basketball anytime soon. I'm looking at their tour schedule. They don't have anything on their tour schedule.
Does this have something to do with the?
They're midgets.
So I was just gonna say the guys that you'd had wrestle at baseball
That's
games.
exactly where my mind went.
You can say it. The Mini Kiss is midgets.
They're midgets. Okay.
Midgets that are playing the role of Kiss, and they're actually very entertaining.
I can imagine they are.
On a bender, I spent $50 to go watch
They
them
sound
one
good.
time.
They sound good.
Yeah, they put on a great show. They put on a really, really good show.
Where'd you see them at? In Florida,
Vegas.
Okay.
They did a residency.
Good. Hey, if you know,
not really. I don't remember a lot before or after, but I do remember the performance.
And you walked away entertained.
Yeah. I mean, once you can get over the fact of, the guy playing Gene Simmons is like 3'6", and his tongue is 3'7". I mean, you're okay. Yeah, they were entertaining. They were extremely entertaining.
It's like some stuff out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, hold on here. One quick thing, because I think Kiss. So they did. So, yeah, here we go. They are the final tour ever. Yeah, right. End of the road world tour.
That's it. It's over.
Are we talking about this is Mini Kiss or this is real Kiss?
No, this is real Kiss.
Real Kiss, okay.
Here is their tour schedule. Colombia, Brazil, Chile, Columbus, Ohio.
Of course.
And then they go to the UK.
Whoa. Why limit yourself like that? Jeez. Columbus, Ohio, huh?
Hey, we've been in Colombia, Brazil, and Chile. Let's just do one U.S. show and let's go to Columbus.
Yeah. Out of all the places, let's just go there.
So that is their only U.S. appearance this year, but it is the final tour ever.
Ever.
Until the next one.
Yeah, they'll disappear for like a year, then they'll come back and they'll do another tour.
Just so somebody can say, hey, by the way, I think Kiss is retired. As long as you get that narrative for at least a year, then you can come back out of retirement, because it's always epic when, one night only coming back out of retirement.
The comeback tour.
Yeah, it's always a comeback tour. Doug, by the way, on the Equitable Bank inbox, because I'm glad he brought up Bon Jovi. He said, I love Bon Jovi, but with his vocals sounding like a teenage boy going through puberty, he needs to retire or rehab his vocals. Not only Bon Jovi, did you ever hear, and I was fortunate and as excited as heck to see them when I was a teenager. I was about 14, 15, Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose is rough.
Yeah.
Live, like really rough. It's not good.
I
haven't heard Bon Jovi, but with Doug, I've heard other people say the same thing that Doug is saying. Although my neighbor is like in love with Bon Jovi, so I would never bring it up to her. But apparently he's kind of hit or miss too with his live vocals.
Josh on the stream. Good morning, Josh. Zeppelin has stayed true to not getting back together.
Yeah, it would be tough to. It'd be tough to see them. Pantera. So they're back out on the road in 23. They're hitting some major spots. They're going to be at SoFi. They're going to be at Ball Arena in downtown Denver. They're going to be at State Farm Stadium.
Pantera?
Yeah.
Really?
And then 24, they're doing a stadium tour. They're going to Foxborough, Chicago, Minneapolis, Edmonton, and Seattle.
Wow.
Brooks and Dunn have called and this is how this conversation started. a reboot tour.
A reboot.
Nice.
Okay,
I like
a
that.
boot.
It's a new one.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's
Country
fun.
and
Yeah,
boots
a
and-
little tie-in there.
Boots and fur.
Thomas on the Equitable Bank inbox says Oasis still hasn't gotten back together. Gosh dang it, that is
That's a good one.
That is a damn shame too. Oasis, 2 great songs. 2 good songs. That's all.
Songs that people
And they were
belt out.
They were trying to be the Beatles too. But I admit I liked Wonderwall. I was a fan of Wonderwall.
It's still being performed by many.
Oh, I'm sure.
Years later.
Yeah.
6:37.
Incredible segment.
Brooks and Dunn.
The reboot tour.
The reboot tour. Not the end of the road. It is the reboot tour.
Yeah. So when you're rebooting that,
End
that
of the
sort
road
of
tour, that'd be
leaves-
Boys to Men.
That's open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're just doing this for 1 year and that's it. I mean, you're rebooting.
You know who has not gotten back together outside of they do get back together once a year in Charleston before school starts. They have a big at the tennis center there in Charleston. They have a big back to school event, and Hootie and the Blowfish, who are from from all over South Carolina, but primarily Charleston, they will put on a performance as they get back together. Hootie and the Blowfish have never really gotten back together. When Darius left and he went solo, they've dabbled with some things, but they've never fully gotten back together.
So when Darius, I don't know if it was the last time he was here, which was either this last summer or 2 summers ago. I had some friends that went to that and they're like, yeah, Hootie and the Blowfish were like together. I said, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, they played Hold My Hand. I'm like, no. What were the Blowfish there? Well, I don't know. The band was playing some of the Hootie and the Blow. I'm like, hey, there's a big difference between Darius Rucker going back into the library and playing a couple of the old Hootie and the Blowfish, but the entire band being back. He couldn't confirm. I think there would have been a pretty big uproar if the Blowfish were, at the Concert Cove or wherever he was performing. Yeah, that I didn't mean to like be the finger pointer at my buddy, but I'm like, there's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Because I would pay to see a Hootie and the Blowfish reunion if it was like regional. Like if we could see him here or Chicago, Kansas City, Des Moines, wherever.
Now, when Darius was back here, let me add this real quick. So Pantera, those sites, they're opening for Metallica. So that's why why they're in major. Now that would be a concert I would go see. That would be a hell
of a show.
But when Darius Rucker was here, there were apparently a few other Darius Ruckers. So there was somebody who kind of looked like Darius Rucker. Was going around downtown Omaha.
Was it Cuba Gooding Jr.? This makes me think of Jerry Maguire. Are you Hootie? No, I am not Hootie.
I believe his first name was Robert, but he kind of looked like him.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh my God, Darius Rucker, can I get a picture? And so he was posing for pictures with people. The same day that Darius Rucker was at Stir Cove, he was like this imposter.
I mean, was it pretty good though?
If you look at the picture, you'd be like, I don't think you know what Darius Rucker. Not all black people look like. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you.
Well, yeah.
All right. And this guy was a little bit off. I mean, I guess if you
like
didn't
similar build?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. But yeah, people go, hey, Darius Rucker. And he'd stop to take pictures. So people were sharing these pictures on social media and they were tagging the real Darius Rucker while he was getting ready for his show at Stir Cove. And all of a sudden he had to go, he made a video that said, hey, I apologize to my fans that may have thought they interacted with me today, but that is not me.
Yeah.
But if you want the real me, come to my show.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that actually sets it up really nicely then.
Yeah. There was that's my memory of
now are
Darius
you
Rucker being
if you're that guy
Omaha.
though, are you just like, hey, you're Darius Rucker, and you're just like, oh, hey, what's up? Like you're not confirming or denying it, and then they want to take a picture. You're not actually saying, yeah.
You're like, oh, why? I guess it's not the first time that he pulled it off.
There's a time, one time long ago when I had hair, I had a backwards red hat on at a Kansas City bar, and someone from far away thought I was Dale Earnhardt.
Nice.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Sorry, Jr.
Did you play it up?
No. They sent me a beer, and then as the person got closer, he's like, oh my God, I thought you were Dale Jr. He's like, hey, enjoy a free beer on me. I don't mean to be weird. Like, it was pretty funny.
I'm just Nick.
They were hammered. It was over, I'm sure you've been to Kelly's in the Westport.
Hey, shout out Iowa State fans.
Good old Kelly's. And
people still go to Westport?
You know what? When
they go to that during the Big 12 tournament,
when Omaha played,
they still go to Westport wearing Kevlar.
Yeah. Actually, I heard it's better now. My wife and I went there when Omaha played KU on that Monday night. So we went the Sunday before, which was probably a good night to go because it wasn't a lot happening. And it was kind of dead, but I was talking to one of the bartenders at Harpo's. And I said, so how are things in Westport? I haven't been in a while. And they said, actually, it's a lot better now.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
That's a fun place.
Yeah.
I've had
those two places too. Kelly's and Harpo's are one of my favorite bars.
All right. Often running on a Tuesday morning. Sam McKewon coming up in the next hour. And again, the booty is at 400 right here on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone. And 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. 1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Handley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A seasonal January day ahead for Tuesday. Watch out for areas of patchy fog in the morning, mainly north of the metro. Otherwise, expect a few peaks of sunshine early, then clouding over for the afternoon. Highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a delay near 108th and L Street. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 84 to Gold Coast Road. And on Center, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 180th to 168th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Creighton coverage on The Zone is presented by Berry Law. At Berry Law, we fight alongside those who choose to fight back. Call Berry Law at 402-999-7777 or visit BerryLawFirm.com. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Sharp, voice of Omaha men's basketball. The Mavericks continue their road trip coming up on Thursday night when they travel to Kansas City to take on the Roos. 6:30 airtime on News Talk 1290 Coil. Tip-off is 7 o'clock for Kansas City and Omaha.
Your Omaha hockey team is back in action when they head to Western Michigan this Friday and Saturday. Pregame is at 5:30 Friday. Puck drops at 6. It's UNO at Western Michigan this weekend on your home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Save now on appliances and more at the Truckload event at Lowe's. Get deals on select major appliances and take home what you buy same day. And save an additional 10% on all in-store clearance appliances. Plus, get 10% off in-stock kitchen cabinets with a $1,000 minimum purchase and save even more on clearance cabinets in-store. Shop the Truckload event in-store or online today. Must ask cashier to apply discount at time of purchase. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details. About 119 to 125.
At the American Lung Association, we're fighting for a day when we can all breathe easier. We're fighting for clear skies over every city and healthy lungs throughout the country. We're fighting to free millions of Americans from the addictive grip of tobacco and the devastating effects of lung disease. The American Lung Association isn't just fighting for air, we're fighting for all the things that make it worth breathing, and we can use your help. See what you can do at fightingforair.org.
I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. The best way to strengthen our economy for the long term is investing in our education system and raising the skills of American workers. To succeed in the global economy, we need to modernize our schools, hire excellent teachers, and focus on the future. Support great public schools, and we can make the good life even better.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Nope. Stop this. Before 7, this song will be in your head the rest of the day.
Yep.
Not
It's
my
already
fault.
there.
Not my fault. Welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here as well. Are we going to kill the corn dogs?
Why?
So with 3 former Georgia Bulldogs on Nebraska's roster, I have seen this as the corn dogs.
No.
DAWGS.
Aw.
Are we going to start a campaign to kill this?
Have we not learned from the Calabrasca movement? That led to nothing. Literally nothing.
Now I wish this was about the corn dog.
The closest thing we had for that yielding any results at all, the Calabrasca movement, was Tristan Gebbia. He got beat up by Adrian Martinez. Now to Ohio State. So good for Tristan. No, come on, guys. We've learned something already. If the Calabrasca movement wasn't reason enough, come on. We're not doing the corn dogs. No, don't. Please don't.
It would make the people in Gwinnett who have a corn maze, a corn dogs maze.
Yeah.
They might
Now, could there be some NIL opportunities
exactly,
there?
NIL.
Yeah. Do we have like a corn dog specific like shop around?
Like you have
State of
Fletcher's
Nebraska?
at the State Fair.
Yeah, you know how
Texas.
you get like hot, like, you know, you've got some, they used to have like Chicago dogs and dugout dogs and stuff. Like, is there like a corn dog specific restaurant that I've just never, maybe, I bet there's a food truck.
probably a food truck.
There's always a
I don't
food
know
truck.
that you could
I don't know if NIL would
sustain
be.
a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, that'd be a good one though. If you could come up with some creative corn dogs, like different things, like breakfast corn dog. Have you ever had a breakfast corn dog, by the way? Really good.
I have not.
The pancake?
I haven't had a corn dog in a while.
I haven't had a corn dog in a while, but did have the breakfast one instead of the hot dog. It's sausage. And
I
then you got
used to,
pancake.
Wait, I had one at the Liberty Bowl.
I mean, I think personally,
It sounds like a Memphis thing,
Personally,
man.
when I was living at
It was
home,
a drunk thing.
I kept Schwann's in business.
Oh, Schwann's.
Schwann's would have great corn dogs,
Schwann, yeah, good corn dogs, good egg rolls too. Believe it or not.
good chicken patties,
Yeah, chicken. Yeah, oh yeah, chicken patties.
ice
absolutely.
cream as well.
And they were so. See, when you're young, it's so you want the things that you can make and nuke in the microwave. If it's like less than 2 minutes, I mean, it's the greatest thing ever.
I got
Even
the
if
frozen-
the taste is okay.
I got the frozen pizzas from Schwann's a lot. They were solid.
Schwann's is so good.
I get excited every time I see that rare Schwann's truck that is on the roads here in Omaha.
I just always want the cookie dough ice cream. That's all I want.
We got to know our Schwann's driver really good. I mean,
Well, what was he or she's name?
his name was Matt.
Matt. Okay.
He was a cheery fella. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Ed Foley. Had rosy cheeks and always a smile. And always on the road.
What if Ed Foley
Was a Schwann's driver?
Yes. What if he drove a Schwann's truck?
I don't think it would pay as much as being the
well,
special teams
no.
coach at
I'm
Nebraska.
saying you make this part of the Ed Foley tour.
Get a truck with a wrap on it.
Yeah, get some type of
Adidas.
Not only are you going to see recruits and you are laying out the foundation of solid relationships, but you're also delivering some frozen goodies.
Do we have to worry about Ed Foley weighing about 450 pounds when the season starts? He's on the road all over Nebraska.
Well, like Blackledge when he always does like the taste of the town, but then they show like how much he runs and like works out. Like the guy is like meticulous about that. So he can take in like 4,000 calories in one sitting and it probably loses weight. I don't know. Does Ed have does he have a regiment that he could take in some of Nebraska's finest cuisine, but also not worry about it?
I know he tweeted out a picture last night. So his tour of yesterday around the state of Nebraska, he ended up at Ashland, Greenwood, went to high school there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think just looking at the background, I believe he was at Parker's Smokehouse.
Oh,
in Ashland. So you can't go in there and like get a salad.
No, Parker's is so good.
So you're going to consume a lot of food.
Yeah.
But everywhere he goes, he eats. So I don't know. Does he strike you as a guy that is probably, getting in a little work on the Peloton before his day starts? Or because I worry worry about him.
Looking at the sandwich here.
He doesn't necessarily, but are you doing just enough to where it doesn't, like having all that food doesn't all of a sudden put like a massive stress on your body?
That's what I used to think, Nick, and I can answer you, no.
Have you been to Parker House, by the way?
Yes, I have.
Oh my gosh, it's good.
So you guys recommend I go?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I think they're only down to the 2, Lincoln and Ashland, because they had one in Nebraska City. They had one here in Omaha, just actually not too far from here. But yeah, the Ashland one, my wife turned me on to that one time. Oh my gosh, thank heaven she did. It's good.
Coming up later today at 5:00, to be exact, they will announce who's going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The crime dog is already going in, Fred McGriff. He's in the Hall of Good, Not Great, in my opinion. But Tom Amansky is going to deliver Fred McGriff to Cooperstown this summer. I don't know.
As he should.
I mean, Fred McGriff, good player.
Yeah.
Not great, good player, but he's going into the Hall of Fame. Will he be joined by Scott Rowland, Todd Helton, or Billy Wagner today? Will there be somebody that will join him? But you have to get, and this is your stat of the day to win $400 next hour, 75% of the returned ballots from the Baseball Writers Association of America voters. 75%. Scott Rowland and Todd Helton are trending right now to make it in. But 75% is what you have to get.
Ooh. See, and that's the fine line between the Hall of Fame and just like, hey, good, solid career.
No, it's there's part of the Hall of Fame that is good, not great.
Yeah.
Hello, Fred McGriff.
Fred McGriff,
and there are others.
I would agree.
And even a Scott Rowland and a Todd Helton. Now, Carlos Beltran is on the ballot, but the Astros scandal in 2017 will be held against him.
Mm-hmm.
He will eventually get in because in his era, tough to find a better center fielder than Carlos Beltran, but people will hold it against him because of the cheating scandal, that he was kind of one of the ringleaders, that he will not be getting in this year. And will he eventually get in?
Well, Rollins, so the polling was at 79%, but it's never that high when it's revealed. So you are pretty much on the razor's edge there.
If there are, and because of return ballots that do not have you or are blank, it will bring you down.
So I would say Roland, more than anything, he's going to be the most nervous one, because I think you're seeing those numbers, but you also understand the reality of how close it is to that percentage, to the 75%. So that's also a career I would consider to be good.
And one of the better defensive third basemen in the history of the game.
Yeah. It was good.
He'd be one of the rare third basemen that are in the Hall of Fame. There's only 17 right now.
Wow, 17.
You want to really...
That's surprising.
Roland's best year, and when he eventually goes in, because he's trending that way.
Yeah.
Will he go in as a Philly or a Cardinal?
See, I think of him...
Because his best year...
Philly.
His best year was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
On the year that Edmonds and Pujols in 04 had a monster year, Roland had his best year as a professional.
Right.
Will he go in as a Cardinal or a Philly? I immediately think of him as a Philly, but he had a nice little stretch there with St. Louis.
The time he spent with Philadelphia, it's hard not to, but you're right. Because when I think of Roland at his best, I also think of the Cardinals. But you also have to give consideration to where you got your name out, amount of time spent with the organization. I'm sure Philadelphia would have something to say about that.
He's a weird, because he's going to get in just because of the timing and who else is on the ballot, because the Bonds of the world are not making inroads.
Yeah.
So the highest he ever finished in the MVP race was 4th. He only twice hit over 300. I mean, now he did have a good WAR, and baseball writers have a fascination right now with WAR.
Yeah.
He had a stretch where his WAR was about as good as you could get. But is he getting in because of his glove more than anything?
Probably.
Because he strikes me as a good, like initially I don't go, Scott Rowland, Hall of Famer. Good player.
No.
Not great. But we have now gone in this stretch of baseball where we have the good, not great Hall of Fame, and Scott Rowland will probably get in. Now, Todd Helton will save this for later in the show. Todd Helton is the interesting discussion because the thing that's held against him is the back end of his career and that he played half of his games at Coors Field.
Yep.
I don't know. Todd Helton could swing it.
Yes, he could.
All right. 75 is the stat of the day on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
None of the 11 offensive players on the NFLPA's All-Pro team were a 5-star recruit, and only one of them, Zach Martin, was a 4-star.
Hell yeah, he was. North Carolina, baby.
Of the 11 defensive players on the All-Pro team, 7 were 5 stars, 2 were 4 stars, the other 2 were 3 stars, so the average was 4.5.
That's nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone.
I know I need to pay attention to my health, but I just can't seem to find the time. Between rushing to work and taking care of the kids, there's not much time left over for me. So I decided to start small by eating more fruits and vegetables and being more active. And then I got the family to make some changes too. We started by keeping a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter, and I limit the amount of sweet snacks I keep in the house. I've also found some creative ways to add more vegetables to our meals. We're taking more walks, and on the weekends, we head down to the pool at the rec center. It doesn't happen every day, but it does happen. You don't have to change your entire life to be healthier. Just make some simple changes and include your family. You'll see how easy and fun it can be.
You can make a difference. Eat smart, play hard. And when you do, your kids will too. A challenge from USDA.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com. Omaha Maverick baseball and softball season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a pitch or run scored. 2023 season tickets include in-state rivals Creighton and Nebraska. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS. That's 402-554-MAVS.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
You know where I first became aware of Trace Adkins? He was on Donald Trump's reality show.
Which one?
On NBC.
What the Apprentice?
The Apprentice,
Yes.
yeah.
I really liked. I was like all in for the first couple of seasons.
That was a big deal. I remember.
Trace Adkins, like they had Celebrity Apprentice,
right.
and Trace Adkins was on there. I loved his voice. And I knew he was a country singer, so then I started listening to some of his music. And now he's an actor as well.
He's an
I
actor?
think, I
Isn't
think he does
he-
a good job on that show he's on.
Isn't he on a Fox show?
Mhm.
Is he?
I can't remember the name of it, but
It's all those country artists. They go into acting. Like Reba McEntire just got arrested and thrown in the clink on my show, Big Sky.
Tim, I haven't. See, we've hit a pause on it.
Oh,
It's okay.
That's
Well,
I don't
just-
feel like
they just
I don't feel like
shows-
you gave a lot away there.
no, it's just when a little startling when Reba McEntire
Yeah.
was arrested, but
Tim
each their own.
McGraw has done a lot. He's done
great in Friday Night Lights.
He's good in Friday Night Lights. He was in The Blind Side. He was he's in one of the spinoffs of Yellowstone as well. He and Faith.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would say Tim McGraw. Am I wrong? Tim McGraw probably, at least if you want to consider him more of a modern artist, like from the 90s on, he's probably done the most in Hollywood.
Yeah.
yes, I mean he was in a full-fledged movie.
Yeah. Movies too. So yes.
All right, coming up in the next hour, Sam McKewon will join us. Also, this is going to lead into a discussion next hour as Matt Rule is everywhere. Matt Rule was at Baxter Arena yesterday with a little wrister into an empty net.
Good form.
With the former Mav boss, who is now his boss in Lincoln, Trev Alberts. Good publicity for Omaha hockey. But before we get to that discussion next hour, so Trev tweeted out the picture. We got to work with Trev. That's not a one-timer. He was not passed.
No, that was not
just a little wrister.
That was not a
just
one-timer.
little wrister.
Yeah.
So he said, Coach Rule, one-timer.
Yeah, no.
Exclamation point, GBR.
Now, if he went ahead and fed him,
yeah,
gave him a nice little pass.
Yeah, they teed it up.
Yeah,
boom, that's a one-timer.
And then you got a one-timer there. It's okay.
So you read the replies to Trev's tweet. This person named Peyton tweeted at Trev Alberts. If you've ever been to a UNO hockey game, I totally recommend it. Next hour is coming up next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of a delay near 108th and L Street. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown from 84 to Gold Coast Road. And on Center, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 180th to 168th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry-out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Severe. As soon as I get off from work and head home, I'm usually going to be doing something for breakfast for the kids. And my new thing, I haven't done it really before, but the new thing is French toast. That's right. And what better bread to have for your French toast than Rotella's Italian bakery bread? It is amazing. And it really holds up to the batter and everything else. And when you're cooking it and putting that little bit of white sugar on top of it, it's amazing. You want to check it out. Get you some Rotella's Italian bakery bread and make you some French toast like I do pretty much every Sunday morning. Another great thing about Rotella's is it's versatile. Rotel's Italian Bakery Bread has you covered. And swing by the bakery at 108th and Harrison for all the smells and all the great bread as well. Stop by that bakery. Again, 108th and Harrison, or find us at the nearest grocery store. It's Rotella's Italian Bakery Bread. Over 100 years of tradition, and it's always in our house for the French toast on Sunday mornings.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection, plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street, next to Covey's. Your Omaha hockey team is back in action when they head to Western Michigan this Friday and Saturday. Pregame is at 5:30. Friday, puck drops at 6. It's UNO at Western Michigan this weekend on your home for Maverick Hockey. Newstalk 1290 Coil.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Berry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Berry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Join up, join in. It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. There you'll find a full range of fitness activities, from free weights to Zumba classes to an indoor track, pickleball, and more. Join now and save. We'll waive the fees, plus you'll get 1 month free with an annual paid in full or auto pay membership. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, 7:07 on a Tuesday.
Booty time. Well done.
Sam McKewon's coming up bottom of the hour. Bill O'Brien, not a surprise, is about to be named the new offensive coordinator under Bill Belichick. So he's going back to New England. That means Nick Saban will be looking for an OC. Enough of a stretch to think, and I'm probably going to make some Iowa fans happy. So Bill O'Brien and Brian Ferentz have a connection.
Yeah.
So Brian Ferentz started as an offensive quality control coach with the Patriots, and then he was, with the help of Bill O'Brien, who has been pretty instrumental in the Ferentz family, helped Brian Ferentz become the tight ends coach. Could am I crazy to think that if you're trying to get Brian Ferentz out, Bill O'Brien could save Iowa football?
Isn't this I don't want to say a rumor, but isn't this even kind of the discussion? And I've heard this from people that I've talked to that are with the Iowa media that have always suggested there could be kind of a send you along your way sort of golden parachute type opportunity of it doesn't come off as a firing. It doesn't even come across as it's best for us and for you to part ways or a stepping down. It comes across as Brian was presented with an opportunity that really aligns with his future goals. So he's going to go pursue that. We love Brian. And of course, we would have loved to keep him around, but this is the opportunity that he wants for his next challenge in life.
We wish him well in his future
And so
endeavors.
there was always that narrative from people that I really do trust that follow Iowa football, that cover Iowa football, that said that would be more likely than a straight up, we are parting ways with Brian Ferentz because of his ties to the NFL, because he's got a presence there as well. So this would be, if I'm an Iowa fan and I want Brian Ferentz out of town, what you just laid out right there, this would be the one to watch for without question.
Well, there's another part of this is Iowa has a guy on their staff who is an offensive analyst, played football at Wisconsin, that they think is an offensive mastermind, and he's a young guy, and John Budemeyer. And he is on their staff right now. And, could he be elevated?
Yeah.
We will see. I think this is something to keep an eye on.
I totally
agree. Because of Bill O'Brien's connection to the Ferentz family.
Real
But
quickly,
he's going to be the OC under Bill Belichick.
You and I haven't had this conversation during the coaching search before, of course, Nebraska landed on Matt Rule. Where were you on Bill O'Brien? Did you think that he would eventually be a college head football coach in this cycle? Okay.
Nope.
Initially, I did. Initially, I had him on there, but you always, when you kind of look a little bit closer to the situation, you kind of look at where he was from, going back to Alabama, what he's able to accomplish and what he was able to kind of, again, take in from Nick Saban. As we got closer and closer to not just the Nebraska job, but other jobs being filled, and you just never heard his name, that wasn't because people weren't interested in him. That, to me, was his representation shutting that down. I just don't think he was interested. I don't think it was college football head coach jobs or vacancies that he was interested in. And as we got maybe a month out, I started thinking to myself, yeah, you know what? I had him pegged as a guy that could definitely be on the list for Nebraska, but I don't think he wants to be a college football coach.
It was a reach for Nebraska. I mean, because everybody's trying to connect things.
Yeah.
And the only connection was Trev Alberts and Bill O'Brien were in Atlanta at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was never going to be happening. No, I never. He had his time in college. He's good in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think, and
people forget that.
Hey, you know what? He didn't have a bad run at Houston until they gave him way too much power.
Exactly.
And then he was accumulating the roster and he was coaching the roster.
Right.
Yeah.
Just as a coach and what he did. I mean, people forget how many playoff appearances Houston had under his watch.
So he's in a good role. I mean, that's a good hire for Belichick. That's like a no-brainer hire.
Yep.
All right, here is to kick off the hour, Random Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Scott Rowland, if you want to get something you enjoy, if you're a baseball person, watch defensive highlights for Scott Rowland. How big was this guy?
What was he, about 6'3"?
Yeah, big dude.
Large individual.
Yep.
And when I call these shows, it's mostly BS. I don't know what I'm talking about, but there's one exception. It's the split step. Listeners know I called our baseball coaches, begging them to do it. This is what the great tennis players do, all of them, to get a great jump. But it works in volleyball. Think of Michaela Fecki getting 29 digs against Penn State. Watch her feet. Watch Rowland's feet. When they show the defensive highlights, they'll show these unbelievable plays, but then they'll show a different angle where you can see what they're doing with their feet. And he does the tennis footwork. When a large individual gets a great jump, watch out. And just on that alone, what does WARS, what does that stand for?
Wins above replacement.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. You mentioned it with O'Brien. Bases loaded, 1 out. Okay, hard ground ball down the third baseline. That could be the equivalent of a 3-run homer, or if you got a great third baseman, it's a double play. This guy did it repeatedly. Plus, he was a really good offensive player. So watch that. He deserves the Hall of Fame. Take care, guys.
Mike, thanks for the call. His, at the beginning of his career, he was healthy, so you would get him for 150 plus games.
Mm-hmm.
But when he hit about age 30, injuries started to pile up. But that 8-year sample size at the beginning of his career, it's worthy enough to open Cooperstown for him. I mean, he had his peak years were 97 to that 04 season, which was his best when he was with St. Louis.
Yeah.
When he tore it up. But I mean, he was at least a 25 homer, 100 RBI guy. There's very few guys over that extended period of time of about 8-9 years consistently have done that. He's going to get into the Hall of Fame. When I initially watch him, and my standards are probably pretty high, I don't immediately go Hall of Famer.
I agree.
But then you stop and you look at his numbers and you go, okay, compared to who is in the Hall of Fame, yes, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It's just a case if he will get to 75%, because I don't necessarily know that's a good thing for Cooperstown if Fred McGriff is the only one going in. And that's not on Fred McGriff. It's on the future and how we look at the Baseball Hall of Fame. This used to be a big day. Now, in the world of baseball, it's a big day. But for everybody, this used to be like, okay, spring training's right around the corner. They're going to announce who's going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it has less of a, hey, this is the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody stopped us and said, hey, you know what? Is Rowland going to get in today? Is Helton going to get in? How many votes do you think Billy Wagner will get? Hey, what's Beltran going to look like? What do you think Bonds will happen to him? Unless you're watching MLB Network, you're not getting that. But I don't think it's a good thing if only Fred McGriff goes in, because the Baseball Hall of Fame, of how you feel about who's in and who's not in and how it's voted on, the museum and in Cooperstown itself is not doing well. The attendance is way down. It's in a remote part, even though it is a fabulous, incredible experience in Cooperstown, New York. It's not doing well. And so they need good attention towards it.
Yeah.
So because it'll only be negative if it's just Fred McGriff. Okay, first time in 10 years that nobody is going in, and we're going to do it again next year. And, they're not buoyed by a great first-year ballot guys. There's nobody that blows you away. John Lackey is not going, hey, John Lackey.
Well, yeah,
Hall of Famer.
Think when Jeter went in. That's all you needed.
And unfortunately, Jeter was going to go in, and they would have had the largest crowd probably ever to go see the induction. And I went the year that George Brett got in. And you had, look, Just look up who went in with Brett. I mean, you had
pretty good class.
Nolan Ryan and Robin Yount.
Yeah.
They're
Okay, and
decent.
it was an unbelievable crowd.
And Nolan and Robin
When Jeter was going to go in, they would have had an all-time record, a Yankee going into Cooperstown in upstate.
Yeah.
And that was the COVID year. So they couldn't, and then when they had his ceremony, they had a limited crowd. So Cooperstown needs as much positive stuff as they can get. And nobody joining McGriff, I think, would be bad for Cooperstown.
Yeah, Baseball World representative and featured speaker of the Tom Mansky baseball video. Fred McGriff is probably not, if you're going solo, is not the solo headliner. And I don't even know, I mean, if it's Fred McGriff and Roland, let's say you get Wagner, like even the combination of the three, there's not enough oomph. And that's to me, that is not trying to disrespect their careers. And to even get into the debate of whether they're Hall of Fame worthy or not, because again, I think it's such an arbitrary conversation because everybody has different standards. And we all also know how the voting does take place. But to your point about trying to gain more momentum in Cooperstown, even three of those guys, headlined by Fred McGriff, still is a bit underwhelming given their careers. They were not, first ballot, no brainer. The only question is, are they going to be, unanimously voted in type guys? They're guys that have had to kind of pay their dues, wait their time, get above that 75% threshold and get in. That's usually not going to move the needle to the casual baseball fan.
Yeah, the guy that is on the ballot right now that I think Carlos Beltran was the best center fielder of his era. He's not getting in this year. I think eventually he'll get in.
I don't think Andrew Jones is getting in either.
And Andrew Jones defensively is one of the better center fielders that played in a long time.
Yep.
It's I don't know. I'm not certain that anybody's getting in with McGriff today. They do keep most voters will publish their votes.
Yeah.
And Roland is going to need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And so is Todd Helton. And I think Billy Wagner eventually get in because of what his role was and how that role as a closer has changed in baseball.
I think Helton will. I don't think it's this time though.
Again, this is a good, not great.
Yeah.
Part of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think Fred McGriff is kind of the lead example of this, of what we're talking about here. Of, him, you know what he's about. You look at the numbers, you're like, pretty solid. Then if you look at comps, if you look at some of the other players that have gotten in over times, especially if you're looking at comparisons to positions and whatnot, is it Hall of Fame worthy? I mean, that's the difference. I mean, between what should be enshrined compared to people that we casually have a conversation about, be like, yeah, he was pretty good. I mean, there is a big difference there. That's where I don't want to see the coming years, because we know Bonds and Clemens, despite what you think about them, when you watch them play, you're like, yeah, that's different. That's special, regardless of what they may or may not have been on. Fred McGriff, it's like, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I would probably have my son try to mimic the fundamentals of this player or that player. But did it stand out amongst its peers to where you're like, that's different, that's special, that should be enshrined, that career should be enshrined? I can't say that about any of these guys.
I would like, though, when the crime dog goes in, that everybody dresses up. Just wear the baseball world hat and the T-shirt with back-to-back AAU national champion.
Yeah, that's why I give it my full endorsement.
All right, Sam McKewon's coming up here in a little bit. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, the NFL Conference Championship games are this Sunday, and you can enjoy more thrills than a 2-minute drill on FanDuel. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account, because they're giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay. That means you'll get free bets back if your conference championship same-game parlay doesn't hit. Bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to which player will score a touchdown.
Gary's got that 2-minute drill down. I'm more like the Cowboys' Dak Prescott getting the snap from Ezekiel. Does that get too old? No. But if you can't decide, you can ride with thousands of other fans for the same game parlay, so popular, already made for you. You can bet on everything from the money line to point spreads. It's a fun way to just kind of enjoy the games. And new to FanDuel, well, you can sign up with promo code ZONE to see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. Again, that promo code is ZONE. And if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same game parlay today and have fun with the conference championship games. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. 1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Handley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A seasonal January day ahead for Tuesday. Watch out for areas of patchy fog in the morning, mainly north of the metro. Otherwise, expect a few peaks of sunshine early, then clouding over for the afternoon. Highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, we have one accident to report that has the right lane blocked along westbound I-80 near exit 440, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then there's also an accident to report along 13th Street near Missouri Avenue, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for some significant slowdowns from Richland Drive all the way to 84th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
There's a lot more to love for a lot less at Saul's Jewelry and Loan. Now through Valentine's Day, get 50% off a huge selection of jewelry. Heart-shaped jewelry, gemstones, everything you need to show your love. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. It's the Celebration of Love sale with 50% off jewelry at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
1620 The Zone will be on location Friday, January 27th at the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash. Listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout.
Your Omaha hockey team is back in action when they head to Western Michigan this Friday and Saturday. Pregame is at 5:30 Friday. Puck drops at 6. It's UNO at Western Michigan this weekend on your home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Right now, you can get free carpet installation from the Home Depot. So while we're putting in your new carpet, you'll have more time to take care of the lawn. Get started on dinner. Or just lay down and relax on your new carpet after it's installed. Get your free carpet installation started with the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a pitch or run scored. 2023 season tickets include in-state rivals Creighton and Nebraska. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS. That's 402-554-MAVS.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Visit KuglerVision.com today and check out their special New Year savings on modern LASIK.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. It's time for the Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
The good stuff continues for Omaha hockey. They picked up additional votes, but remain just outside this week's USCHO Top 20 national ratings. The Mavericks are the top vote getter among unranked teams with 60 points. And more good news for them, as freshman Jacob Gabin has been named the NCHC Defenseman of the Week. He blocked 5 shots and had an assist last weekend as the Mavs swept a pair of games from Miami, Ohio. UNO allowed just 1 goal, and they moved into 3rd place in the conference. College basketball, not good for the defending national champions.
By the way, that shot, Langston Love hit that shot over Grady Dick.
Yeah, but a big game. It's worth getting in there.
Yeah.
Hey, Grady Dick played. He hadn't played well the last couple of games. He played well last night, but they can't shoot the 3 ball and they can't defend it.
Jalen Wilson played well as well, but they lost 75-69. The call was from John Morris, a good friend at the Baylor Sports Network in Learfield. 75-69. The Jayhawks lose to Baylor. The loss ties their longest skid since Bill Self took over 20 years ago, but it's the first time Kansas has lost 3 straight to ranked teams since February 1989. That was Roy Williams' first year at KU. They're now 16-4 overall and 5-3 in conference play, and things don't get any easier for them. They travel to Kentucky this weekend at the Big 12 SEC Challenge. So with losses by Kansas and Houston over the weekend, Purdue returns to number 1 of the polls. The Boilers at 19-1 overall and 8-1 of the Big 10. After had dropped to number 3 after 4 weeks at number 1 following a loss to Rutgers on January 3rd. That is won 6 straight. The rest of the top 5, Alabama number 2, Houston, Tennessee, and Kansas State. That round out the top 5. Big week for the Wildcats. Win the Tang Day.
Kansas State is at Iowa State tonight over at Hilton. Caleb Grill is questionable, though, for Iowa State. So KU, not only they play at Rupp Arena on Saturday, then they have Iowa State, Kansas State, and Texas.
Yeah. It's going to be kind of a UConn slide for them.
Well, the reality is hitting. Usually KU has a high-end point guard and a big man. And a lot of times those are together.
Yeah.
Well, their point guard play hasn't been good. DeJuan Harris is.
Yeah.
And they don't have depth. They don't have that Azubuike.
Yeah, or
Embiid,
even McCormick last year.
Yeah, so they're getting exposed a little bit, but Cryer and Flegler, 2 great guards.
Yeah.
You know, watching that game last night, I was like, whoa. Scott Drew has been at Baylor for 20 years. 20 years he's been at Baylor. Now, they're built a little bit differently than they've been like during their national championship team, but their guards, those 2 guards will attack you. Just another night in the Big 12. By the way, before we get to Sam, this is a great night of basketball, whether it be college basketball or high school basketball. I can't recall a Tuesday night card in high school basketball and girls and boys in this area as good as tonight's is around the area. Prep West Side on the boys' side, you got Scott and Pius are down in Lincoln in a boys and girls doubleheader. East Southeast boys are playing. This is a great night for ball, y'all. It's always a great time on Tuesdays to talk to Sam McKewon of the World Herald. Good morning, my fine sir.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Hey, but let me ask you about basketball real quick, about Nebraska basketball. Do you think the evaluation of Fred is still going on, or do you think the evaluation is he put enough out there in year 4 that you could make a determination?
Yeah, that's the key question after the injury to Manuel Vandemel. It's interesting. You know, I've been turning that over a little bit. I think where I ended up is the evaluation isn't quite over. I think you have to mark whether the team continues to play really hard and whether, as you look out on that floor, as unfair as it may be, Denham Dawson and Jamarcus Lawrence, Wilhelm Breidenbach, those three in particular, are they getting better?
Mm-hmm.
And because at some point you need your program to not be about the 4th or 5th year guys that you bring in. Yeah. I mean, Vandemel wasn't coming back next year anyway. And so, you watch those younger players. Are they getting better? Are they making plays? Are they getting better on offense? So you do watch those things. I don't know how many wins that translates to. It may only be 3 more. And that, it's tough without Gary and Vandemel, especially when, you hang your hat on defense. But no, I think you continue the evaluation and you really examine, are some of those younger players getting better, or are you having to rely on almost solely guys that will not be back next year? Derek Walker's not back. Dan Griesel's not back. Vandemel wouldn't have been back. So that's something I'm watching. I'm watching those 3 players in particular.
Yeah.
Do they get better?
Sam, wanted to turn over to a big day recruiting-wise for Nebraska, and I want to start with sort of the trifecta for Georgia and Jacob Hood, the offensive lineman, how that one might be different as far as his immediate use compared to the other guys when it comes to this upcoming season. Where do you kind of look at Hood as more of sort of that prototypical development guy, even though he is coming from Georgia?
I do, yes. I think, there wouldn't be any particular pressure on him to play as a redshirt freshman if he were at Nebraska. I don't think there's any particular pressure as it relates to him playing right away here. Now that he's transferring from Georgia. Just because he came from Georgia doesn't mean that he's going to play right away. The other 2 guys will probably need to play right away. Gilbert and Sherman are Sherman's a 3rd year. Gilbert's I guess he's a 4th year. So those guys were brought in to play right away. Borders was brought in to play right away. I think Corey Collier, we'll see. I don't know that he needs to play right away. Out in the secondary, I think they've got some players back there. But the vast majority of the players that they've brought in are going to play right away. And of course, Kemp and Fleet they only have 1 year left. So they don't have a choice. So yeah, I think he's the one guy, the outlier, who you're just like, let's see where it goes. I think it's reflective of how hard it is to get really good offensive linemen out of the portal, because I don't know that Jacob Hood is somebody I would describe at this moment as a potential all-conference player. He's going to have to develop, I think, quite a bit. But he is a body that you can add to the room.
Hey, you've been around this for a long time, and with Nebraska's struggles, we've seen many years of transition classes when a new coach comes in. What's your read on how Matt Rule has gone about putting together his transition class while he's also trying to get to know the roster that is returning and not just blowing guys out before he, sight unseen, that he's going to let them go through spring, and a spring where I can't recall, Sam, Nebraska ever, because this is the numbers game because of, graduation and stuff, that Nebraska's going to have about 80 scholarship players that are going to go through spring football. What's your read on how Matt Rule has gone about setting up spring while he's trying to manage and flip this roster?
It's been very aggressive. And, I was not surprised by the number of transfers, because I think you need to have that as part of your recruiting diet from here on out. I am surprised by the number of high school players. I think it's high. And what is it, 26 or 27 as of Jeremiah Charles commit, right?
20.
And then you're probably going to
26.
Okay, and then you're going to go up probably one with Lepitu, who came in for a visit. That's a big number, and then you add the transfers to it, so you're going to end up somewhere around 40 or 42 by the time the summer comes, and you're still probably going to look for a player or two. You can't just say, well, we're done with the portal because we got a bunch of guys in January. I mean, you got to look through the May group, and there's going to be some players in there that you may want to add to your team. So, at the end of the day, they're going to end up adding a lot of players. It's very aggressive. I think we have to have some level of hesitancy with the high school class. There is a lot of kids in this class who are projected and who are developmental players. And it's one thing to say, well, you got the transfer portal and you can run these guys off after a year if they're not very good. But if you mean what you say, about being a developmental program, you really can't run them off. Like, you have to take the time to develop them, because some of these guys are not going to play right away. I mean, they're just not. So, you know, it's a pretty big investment to make just months into joining a program. They will probably add another 25 to 30 next year in high school kids that they probably will know better than some of the ones that they've added. So, you know, it's going to be an incredible overhaul. Now, with Charles and Smith Flores, obviously their high school coach, who is now Nebraska's tight ends coach, knows those two really well. So there's a little bit of an advantage, you know, baked in there, where you're like, we know more about these kids than we would if we were recruiting them from a high school where the coach wasn't joining the college program. So, you know, but still, it's a big number, and we'll see how Rule and his staff handle it.
Hey, Sam, and I feel like we maybe had this conversation early when Matt Rule was first hired, but, you know, kind of along those lines with spring competition, if we look at some of the carryovers from this roster that didn't see the field a lot, and to put you on the spot a little bit here, is there maybe a guy or two that you are kind of keeping your eye on that could maybe benefit from either the system that either you're going to see offensively or defensively, or just having different coaches, having a fresh perspective, some guys that you think, hey, might have a new or better opportunity than what they had maybe the previous couple of years?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I think they've you know, a lot of those guys left. I think what's left behind are largely players who contributed in the past. And then, so, you know, the few that I can think of, you know, would be defensive back, potentially there. I think Ramir Johnson's going to get a better shake than he got last year. That was a bizarre situation. So I think Ramir Johnson will probably get more of a look from this staff than he did from the Whipple era staff. Whatever was going on there, it's not entirely clear to me, but I think Ramir Johnson's one. Defensively, I think Javen Wright, who the other coaching staff like, is probably going to have a role in this defense that's more defined and more of a roamy, rangy player who they can move all over the place. So I suppose that would be true of Dave Stinger too. And then potentially, you know, I don't know what they want to do with Jake Applegate. We haven't dove in deeply enough. I'm not sure Tony White knows, you know, I mean, he's got to see some of these young kids that have never played. Javen Wright is one that I think of, you know, who was probably a true nickel last time, but whatever they want to try to do with a player like that now, I think he'll have a home. Players like that, you know, there might be an offensive lineman or two who will benefit from a different kind of offense, but I honestly don't think the offense is going to be that different in that regard. So we'll see what happens.
Sam McKewon of the World Herald joining us here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Yesterday, Bill Bush, who is still living in Lincoln, was on with Sip and Jake in Lincoln, and it was a really, really good conversation. And we all know Bill is a fantastic person, and he's a really, really good interview. And we saw the impact that he had on defense. But he talked about the defensive side of their walkthrough before the Iowa game, how good it was. Guys were on point. They knew the scouting report. They didn't have any issues on the day before the Iowa game on going through everything, that they had a plan and everybody was good. That was one of their best walkthroughs. That was on, and I know it was a walkthrough and people might roll their eyes, but consider they're coming off, their season is basically over. It's ahead of a rivalry game. Ironically, Matt Rule, who it's just been released, was with Will and Luan on Bussin' with the Boys. He referenced that game, which he was closely watching, as a game where, man, you know what? When I think of culture, I look at that game and the way Nebraska performed against Iowa when they weren't going to a bowl game, but they treated it like a bowl game. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. So with with that said, you know, we're all caught up in building the roster for 23, and now we're going to step back now that, you know, kind of recruiting is about over, and, you know, we're about 7-8 weeks from spring football, and we're going to start looking at the roster. What kind of, in your opinion, what kind of culture is Matt Rule and his staff going to walking into right now that they're seeing a little bit in the weight room that they're going to see a lot more over the next 2 months?
I think it's I think it's a culture that's probably been through a lot, and I think it's actually a team that relatively liked their former head coach Scott Frost, relatively liked the interim head coach, liked the former defensive coordinator, liked the interim defensive coordinator. So I don't think there was like a lot of like acrimony there. And to be clear, the culture on defense is a credit to Eric Chenander, first and foremost. Like, he built that defense. Those are his players. The fact that they carried that out the last 9 games is a credit to the culture he created. And that's gotten a little lost when the calendar turned toward horrible offenses that almost any defense is going to do well against, compared to some of the teams that they played early in the season, like Oklahoma and Georgia Southern, which were both much better offenses than Iowa. But I think the culture isn't bad. I think it's I don't want to, because we kind of do this with every other coaching staff. The ones that aren't part of the establishment, we say they have to win right away because they're not part of the tree or whatever. And I'm not going to do that. I thought that was probably accurate with Riley, because they had won a bunch of games in the previous 4 years, and he needed to come in and like win right away, and they didn't. They were 6-7. But I'm not going to say that about a program that has missed the postseason for 6 straight years. The culture, to some degree, is what your record is on the field, and in the last 4 years, it was 5-7, 3-5, 3-9, and 5-4. And that's kind of what Nebraska is. They played very hard in a lot of those games, but they lost a lot of them. They lost a lot of close games. I think the quality, the phrase "knowing how to win" may be something that needs to be examined, and probably will be examined by Rule and his staff. But I don't think there's any question that people around here play hard, they try hard, they care. They're good guys. You don't have a police blotter list that's blowing up. I mean, it's not like that. So I think there's a lot of things around here that are pretty well in place. The challenge just becomes, how do you turn that into winning? And then how do you turn that into winning in the specific context of the Big Ten West? And then how do you turn that into winning when the Big Ten West goes away and you have to play, you're thrown into the deep end of the pool, and teams don't get to avoid Michigan and Ohio State automatically. They might, but they don't automatically get to do so. I'm sure Indiana and Maryland would love to hang out in the Big Ten West for a couple of years and swap places. But they don't have the luxury of avoiding those teams, whereas last year's Big Ten West champion, Purdue, did.
Sam, and kind of getting back, and this is all tied into the recruiting and the roster makeover too. We were sort of having a fun conversation, but I think it even kind of goes to like a larger point when you get the news like yesterday with the 2 high school commits as well from Texas. When you think of Matt Rule and just his presence on the road, what are you kind of gathering? What are you sort of taking away from just the best way to describe Matt Rule, his personality as it relates to recruits, as it relates to being able to sell these guys not only in his program, but selling on himself and his plan?
Well, I think the thing that I appreciate about him is he's just willing to put himself out there, and he's willing to ingratiate himself and build those relationships, and not assume anything. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I probably appreciate about him most, is that he's not assumptive. Ed Foley's going to schools that probably won't produce a ton of Husker football players in the future, but they're not assuming anything.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that about them. And I appreciate that about Rule. He's not, this will sound kind of whatever, but I appreciate the fact that the first coach to visit Dylan Raiola was Matt Rule. I appreciate that. And the reason I do is because it would be very easy to say, well, we'll be the third guy in, or we're going to make sure he knows that we like him, but we don't want to act too thirsty. No, just be the first person there. Like, I appreciate that. I think there's an honesty about the way that Rule goes about things that I like, even if it appears pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. Like, I think he's pretty authentic in that way, that he, he's not going to let Dylan Raiola think they're not going to play it cool. If the number one player in the country, they're going to put a full court press on, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But they're never going to act like, well, we're Nebraska, and I don't think we're going to get this guy anyway, so we're just going to have one toe in the water. I think that's what I've seen from Rule, is that he's kind of jumped all the way in, and he needs it.
Yep, I agree. Sam, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Sam McKewon of the Omaha World Herald. And I said this before you and I got together, is listening to Rule as the Nebraska head coach. And it's refreshing to have somebody that hasn't been around this. Okay, so they think some things that we take for granted, that we've been involved with or been going to forever.
Yeah.
It's new to them. So it's refreshing to have all of these coaches that have really no connection whatsoever to here. They're now experiencing it for the first time, and all the emotions and, the reaction of everybody that they come in contact with. And I said this will be an important thing for Rule. And I think this is where it'll help him. Now, he can't really do anything until they start playing games. All he can do is do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They don't push up the schedule and say, okay, your first game's February 1st. His first game is until the end of August. So all he can do is do his job and build a roster and build a staff and do things that he does.
Yeah.
Because he likes the game of football and he likes where he's at. And I said it'll be important for him to go first. I think there have been times where the head football coach at Nebraska, they make you go first. Okay? You do something, then I'll react. Okay? I'm the football coach at Nebraska.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to go first. And before you embrace me, I'm going to embrace you.
Right.
Instead of vice versa, which we have seen a collection of coaches have gone with, you embrace me first, and then we'll talk. He said, I'm going to embrace you first. And I think he is extremely genuine, and we'll see what that equates to on the field. But something we didn't get to yesterday, but I teased at the end. So there are little things that, as we get to know him, and now about coming up on about 2 months that he's been the football coach here, is subtle things that he does that are so important. Whether it be Ed Foley in his pickup truck driving around the state of Nebraska and eating all of our food. Okay?
Jeez.
Sam's right. He's visiting places that probably will never produce, but that's important, okay? Because they show that you matter.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here for you, you're here for us. Everybody can go to Ainsworth, they can go to Westside, they can go to Gretna, they can go to Omaha North, they can go to Bellevue West. Any coach can do that. But Nebraska has chosen to go to places that probably hasn't seen a Nebraska coach maybe ever.
Right.
So that's a big deal. It's a big deal in small towns that are a long way away from Lincoln, and you can't get to Lincoln to see a game. Ed Foley essentially is bringing Nebraska football into your hallways. I will tell you another subtle thing and a very, very savvy move. Matt Rule, and they went and they've already visited Omaha Bryan. Matt Rule the other day tweeting out the Omaha Bryan football T-shirt with their slogan on it. I don't know if he realizes how big that was. People in South Omaha, we all know people from South Omaha. Mm-hmm. They have the chip on their shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you're at a place like Omaha Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
You're competing in OPS and football and your numbers are down, but man, you get out there and you go at it every day of the week. And then on Friday, you get a chance to shine. And it's tough.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
We do a Bryan game a year. But man, there's some people that are invested in that school and in that football program. And will they eventually get the next Ken Clark? God, you hope so. By the way, rest in peace. Kenny Clark, about as good as it was. But people in that part of Omaha, and especially the Bryan community, for a Nebraska football coach to tweet something out about them that has nothing to do with Bud Crawford or relative to Bud Crawford, but it's simply a standalone, man, that's huge. And that's the part of doing your job where I'll embrace you first before you embrace me. And then hopefully this will all come together. And I'm here to tell you, I want to help Nebraska football get back. But there's also part of me that believes with Matt Rule, Matt Rule's got a chip on his shoulder as well after what happened with Carolina. I know it's the NFL, but that departure wasn't great. And so he wants to prove to people, I can still coach football, regardless of where I'm at.
Well, and there was a lot of people that were curious. I wouldn't even say reluctant, but were curious on how Matt Rule would bounce back because everybody knows him as a good college football coach. Didn't have a great spell there in the NFL. So people were curious, would that impact his next job, whether it was the NFL or college? And so when he got the Nebraska job, and he was mentioned for a lot of other jobs, people were always kind of using that narrative a little bit. But, and I want to go back to something you were talking about with the importance of not being assumptive, of just saying, hey, you know what? We're going to make the first move, you're going to be the aggressor. And when it comes to in-state talent, because I know a lot of us have a little bit more of that image of some recent misses. And I think Zane Flores comes to mind for probably most people of like, well, why wasn't Nebraska at least showing some love? And I think that is a good example for the Frost coaching staff. But I want to take this back to Bo as well. For a defensive-minded guy in a two-gap scheme, there are two guys that I will always bring up when it comes to this conversation of being the aggressor and just showing that you care, especially one in particular in a very small school. When you think of Drew Ott, who ended up going to Iowa, didn't get a lot of attention from Nebraska. And I know a lot of the reason was, well, it doesn't seem like he would necessarily fit a two-gap scheme. There was some vague, hey, how you doing? But nothing immediate, nothing that could have been impactful of having a guy like Drew Ott, who ended up playing, pretty high-level football before he dealt with the injuries over at Iowa. Other guy, you know him as well as I do too, that has made it very clear, had Nebraska got in earlier, it would have been very hard for him to turn down. It's Harrison Phillips. Another guy that, look, Millard West produces good athletes in all different sports, but to kind of chalk Harrison Phillips as a guy that just isn't really going to fit into our defensive line and what we look for, to me, that's unacceptable, because if you are a good enough coach, have a good enough coaching staff, I feel like you can develop those guys into where you're going to be able to utilize them, as opposed to seeing Harrison Phillips go off to Stanford or Drew Ott go right across the river to Iowa. For a team that could actually hurt you. Having those types of relationships early in the process, I do think they mean a lot, because hearing from those guys, and a lot of them have said, boy, if Nebraska got in early, not saying I would definitely go with them, but it would be really challenging to say no to them. But a lot of them have made it pretty known that it just didn't show as much interest. I don't want to say that's why Matt Rule is doing this, because I think it's authentic. I think he wants to start working from within and then branching out. They've got guys in Texas. They've got guys that are all over the country, but the efforts that are going on in state, and I get it, sometimes recruiting on people fall on deaf ears because, like, don't tell me about the labor. I just want to see the baby. But this is part of that process.
One Mason quote.
It's going to be very, very important for Nebraska. And like you, I appreciate the lengths as to which they're going to places like Bryan, going to every school that may not produce one player that could be any more than a walk-on, once every 5 years. But those relationships are there. As Sam said, you're not assuming that relationship isn't going to pay off at some point.
Yeah, he made Matt Rule, and this was a conversation. This is about a month ago. He made a comment about he wants to help Nebraska get their name back. And I immediately thought, yes. I mean, I think everybody that walks in the door of late says, I want to be the coach that helps Nebraska get back to respectability, that Saturdays matter again. But that's something that's stuck with me is, again, I think it's twofold. I think he takes it as a personal challenge to help Nebraska football turn things around. But when I hear him say, get the name back, I also think he's talking about himself. Because, I mean, he's pretty confident, but the experience in Carolina and stuff that was said about him as he left the door or while he was there, I think that's his chip on his shoulder. All right. Coming up a little bit later, Brian Christopherson will join us. Our discussion earlier in the first hour about bands that never retire. On cue, Panic at the Disco has split.
Oh,
So Panic and Disco are going their separate ways.
No. So do we set a timetable when they'll come back?
Or otherwise known as Brendan, who is the front man for them. He's leaving.
They'll be back. Don't worry. If you're a big Panic at the Disco fan.
They were together forever.
Are there hardcore Panic at the Disco fans, though? Or are they just being like, I'd see them if I can pay less than $30.
If you are, do you admit to it?
No. Like, who's your
Certainly
favorite band?
somebody.
Brendan Urie is pretty good.
There's always going to be, every band is going to have their fanatic, but is there like a legion of fans? No.
Probably not like, Fish or the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah. I don't think you get that kind of reaction towards them.
No, probably not.
All right. 756. The Booties at 400 on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. It's time to win Gary's Booty. Be caller 4 right now at 402-951-1620. That's caller 4 at 402-951-1620. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
It's the lowest month-to-month rate of the year with no contract and no enrollment fees at Genesis Health Clubs. It won't get any lower than this, and enrollment fees are waived to celebrate 2023. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen. It's the new year, and you have set your New Year's resolutions, right? Well, it's time to go. I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is, if you don't get started, your New Year's resolutions won't happen, and you'll be in the same place next year. You have to take that first step and build habits that will change your life forever. One of my favorite quotes is, if it is to be, it is up to me. And that is absolutely true. And we know you can do it. We'll help you every step of the way. We help hundreds of thousands of people reach their fitness goals each year. And what about you this year? Join Genesis Health Clubs for our lowest month-to-month rate that we'll offer in all of 2023. Plus, no enrollment fees and no contracts. Offer extended. Act now. It will not get any better than this. Join at GenesisHealthClubs.com now because this special won't last. This offer has been extended for a limited time.
The Connor Happer Show.
By the way, guys, corn dogs, not a thing. I love corn dogs. You dip them in mustard. You eat one at the fair. Corn dogs are a delicious food. But I'm talking about corn, DAWGS, the intersection of Nebraska and Georgia football players. We're not calling those guys corn dogs. We're not doing it. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You've got options when you shop pre-owned with Woodhouse. Over 1,000 cars, trucks, and SUVs inspected and road ready, with a team ready to tackle all your needs and wants to get you the perfect vehicle. Plus, with financing options and extended warranty coverage options, Woodhouse makes purchasing your next vehicle an easy one-stop shop in dealership or online, bringing you more every time since 1975. Shop Woodhouse.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. a needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, congratulations, Nick in Omaha. They got $400. So the booty is back to 100. Coming up in the next hour.
Booty.
It's a no doubt.
Yeah, $400. Congratulations, Nick.
Yeah.
You can use that to go to a basketball game. I said before we talked to Sam, a midweek card. This is one of the better midweek cards. So in the NBA, you have the Celtics and the Heat, the Clippers and the Lakers. You have in college basketball tonight, not only the game over at Hilton, you have Oklahoma's at TCU. Penn State is at Rutgers.
Yeah, sneaky good game.
Ohio State at Illinois. North Carolina at Syracuse. Oklahoma State at Texas.
Yep.
Now, it would have been Nebraska and Northwestern, but
they were nice.
Northwestern got the vid, and the Big Ten said, Nebraska, you're just Nebraska. You got to move a day. And then, so I'm telling you, I will be at the Cage tonight for West Side and Prep. But you have, on the boys' side, you have Central is at Bell West. East is at Southeast. The boys' basketball in the capital city this year is really good, but they keep beating each other.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's going to be a Lincoln champion in Class A, but this has been a really good year. There's some really good players, and there's a lot of coaches I admire. So East and Southeast are playing. And then Scott and Pius are playing a boys and girls doubleheader. The Scott boys and girls they're a wagon. And then on the girls' side, Bellevue West is at Omaha Central, and a sneaky game, Millard North is at Bell East. I think Millard North is 3. Bell East they're at least in the top 5. This is a really, really good night of basketball from the NBA all the way to college. I have very, very rarely seen this on a Tuesday night, that we get this many quality games. That's great. I hope to see a lot of people out. I would love to go. I mean, I would go to Pius to see Pius and Scott play doubleheader, but I have to go support my Warriors over at the Cage.
And you're just going as a fan, right?
That's a rivalry too.
Yes. So here's the deal. It'll be uncomfortable for me because I'll be on the West Side. I've got connection to West Side. And then the guys that play for us at Omaha, including Prep's head coach, his son, and then Adam, whose brother Joey plays for Creighton Prep. They'll all be sitting on the Creighton Prep side. Yeah. So we'll have a little back.
You got a road trip. You got a road trip coming up. Yeah, be an awkward conversation. Nah.
No.
I know how you roll
because we had a discussion about football.
Oh,
yeah. Oh. And then that kind of stopped them. So if you get a chance tonight, great. I mean, I'm just pointing out the games for the high schools that are around this area. But, man, I'm, like, super excited. And you know what? And then it's going to lead to – I'm just going to go all in and just go all hyperbole here. Am I crazy to say that since I've been back here in Omaha, like big games downtown for Creighton, whether it be the day they won the Big East with Seton Hall, which I think is the last time that the fans rushed the floor, because, by the way, Virginia Tech 1-7 beat Duke last night. They didn't rush the floor.
No, I love that, by the way.
Screw you, John Shire.
I love that.
Hey, Coach K is there. Every Hokie in America is on the floor.
Yeah.
They didn't rush the floor last night. So, there have been certain big games. That was a big game. The first game ever for Creighton in the Big East when they played Marquette, and the whole building blew a 3.6.
Yep.
Everybody was inebriated.
Yep.
And then there was the New Year's Eve game when Villanova was number 1 and came to town. Mm-hmm. How huge that game was. Am I crazy to think that in terms of buildup, that Saturday morning when Creighton plays Xavier, and Xavier and UConn play tomorrow, that's a huge game. Xavier's in first place in the Big East. That Saturday at the Chai, Saturday morning, is as a potential to be one of the bigger games that Creighton has played in that building. because of who they're playing.
Yep.
Xavier will roll into town, top 15 team, first place in the Big East. The game is on CBS.
Yep.
Not CBS Sports Network, which the game tomorrow night is. I don't know why they don't do the Big East justice, but they've got they carry a handful of Big East games, and they never do it well. This game is on Big Boy CBS to kick off a day of like a triple header, and it's the pink out.
Yes.
I got to think that the Creighton Xavier game on Saturday is one of the bigger Creighton games in that building. Also, what's at stake for Creighton, who's still could win the Big East.
Yeah, it's a validation game of what they've been able to accomplish here as of late. And if you take care of business tomorrow night, I have no reason to think that they won't. Take care of business, you're back at home again on Saturday. Yeah, the pink out, that always brings a little extra fire to it, regardless of who the opponent is and what the circumstances are. But yeah, given the fact that Creighton's not out of this thing for the Big East regular season, the fact that they are as healthy as you can be right now, and understanding that this is still a stretch of games, having Xavier at home, where you want to be able to continue to build up that net, build up that resume, and you still got a lot of things that are in front of you, a lot of goals that are in front of you. Big name opponent. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up the CBS part, because when I think of college basketball on weekends on CBS, you think of big games. And knowing that you're getting that national audience, students are coming back. You've got everything kind of exactly where you want it for this type of game. Yeah, I think from an atmosphere standpoint, this is going to be right up there. It's not a New Year's Eve. It's not a primetime game. But yeah, Saturday nationally televised game against a top 15 opponent, the team you're chasing. And again, a team that you hopefully will see at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, I think that this should be. If it's not, it should be.
Right.
And the pink out as well, as we said.
Iowa JD also adds to this for tonight. Millard South and Liberty are wrestling over at Millard South.
No?
So those are two. Well, I mean, Millard South is the best in Class A here. Liberty has been nationally a top 50 program. So this is a great day. This is a great local sports day. My gosh. I mean, now if they could only stagger some stuff, all right? Can we get a game that starts at 4 and then maybe a game like 6 and then maybe a game like 8 that are not like spread across the city?
Opportunity to see some stuff. Yeah,
because I would, if I was not tied into going to Westside Prep basketball, I would go to Millard South Liberty Wrestling. Again, great in that sport that coaches think outside of the box.
Yeah.
That on a Tuesday night, you could get a great program like Liberty, just outside of Kansas City, to come up here and wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And Millard South has gone down there and wrestled. That's a sport that does a really good job of coaches promoting the sport and giving opportunities to their wrestlers, boys or girls, by thinking out of the box and having a nationally ranked matchup of two great programs. Why has it got to be on a Tuesday night?
Tuesday, that's the thing. Yeah.
What? Can we
on a Tuesday.
Can we maybe start at noon? I'll come over to Millard South and watch. All right, 2 hours in the books. When we come back, so Matt Rule was here in Omaha yesterday with his boss, who used to be the boss of Omaha, who somebody on Twitter goes, "Hey, UNO hockey is pretty fun. You should go to a game." They tweeted that at Trev. Maybe not. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know.
I'm assuming they didn't.
But the picture, which has got a lot of likes and a lot of attention, was it the video and the picture good publicity for Omaha hockey? You might know where I'm going with this, because I'm not so sure. We'll be back with that coming up next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Boy, time flies. And as Gary mentioned, a lot of exciting local action on Tuesday. Well, first of all, would like to say, hey, great place to watch all of those college games is going to be at DJ's Dugout, but they're also celebrating their 30-year anniversary. And everyone at DJ's Dugout wants to say thank you, Omaha Metro, for your amazing support since 1993. It's truly been DJ's pleasure to serve you. Together, been through a lot. Nebraska football and volleyball national championships, coaching changes, and everything in between. There's no better place to watch sports and gather with friends other than DJ's Dugout. Going as Omaha's #1 best sports bar for the last several years. And tonight, for Tuesday night, you got a great deal going on. Hot beef sandwich for just $12.99. How about $12 domestic buckets, as well as you take in all the college hoops action. And as always, if there's a game you're looking for at DJ's Dugout and it's not on the TV, just ask them, because they will find it with those beautiful media walls. Not a better place to watch all of the action. And of course, DJ's Dugout supporting all the local high school areas as well in high school sports. So no reason not to get out to DJ's Dugout tonight or every night of the week. Gather with family and friends. And as always, dig in at the Dugout.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. Still getting reports of that accident that has the shoulder blocked on westbound I-80 near exit 440, and that's going to be backed up all the way to 126th Street, where you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes in that area. And we're also still getting reports of an accident westbound along Dodge just before 132nd Street, where you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes. Then along eastbound I-680, be prepared for some significant slowdowns from Pacific Street all the way to the I-80 North and West ramps. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Thank you, Omaha. It's triple first-place wins for Fernando's. Fernando's is honored and grateful to you for voting them the best Mexican restaurant in the Best of Omaha and Omaha Choice Awards and Best Margarita in the Omaha Choice Awards. Fernando's, family-owned and community served.
Hey, it's Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook, and if you've been watching the NFL playoffs from the sideline, it's time to get up. It's conference championship weekend, and new customers with the FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook, can bet this Sunday's conference championship games with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. It's that easy. Just sign up using my promo code HAPPER. There are props galore available to you on the same game parlay feature, touchdown props, interception props, field goal kicking props, and everything in between. Point spreads, money lines, anything you could ask for on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Take a look hard this weekend at conference championship weekend, and you can find a few that you like to cook up a nice same game parlay. And you can do it on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So now's the time. Don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code HAPPER. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts. On qualifying equipment, for details, call or click.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
All right, welcome to a world that we live in. That Top Gun Maverick is up for Best Picture.
Really?
The Oscar nominations have come out this morning. It is up as one of the 10 movies for Best Picture. Avatar, The Way of Water, which has made like $40 billion over 6 weeks, might be exaggerating just a little bit, is up for a lot of awards as well. The most off-the-wall movie that I have seen, Babylon, doesn't get a lot of run here except for the score, which the score is really good. But I thought that it was crazy enough that it would find its way into one of these categories.
All right.
But, in the Oscars last year, we had a streaming service won Best Picture for the first time. Now we could have Tom Cruise winning Best Picture in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, and an action flick. I know it wasn't Bruckheimer, but it's like basically like a Michael Bay or Bruckheimer picture winning. It's bizarre, but you're right. Like welcome to the world where that is up for Best Picture. And you know what? Probably has a decent shot at winning.
In terms of watching things, have either one of you guys watched The Last of Us on HBO?
I have not.
No.
So
On the list.
I'm getting a lot of people that are telling me that I should watch it. It feels like it's one of those, I'm going to be let down, but it gets momentum and everybody like watches it and then they tell somebody else.
Yeah.
So I
Like
I don't know if I want to go there.
Like the White Lotus, which I can confirm is worth at least season 1. Season 2 was Season 1 was really good.
Yeah, I don't follow very often. Like when people says you got to watch Tiger King, I'm like,
I never watched
down the road.
I never watched Tiger King.
I let COVID get over and then I watched it.
Okay.
So I was out of the cool group.
Did you do that on principle? You're like, hell no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to let like the craze sort of die off and then I'll watch it on my
I'm
own
the kind of
terms.
person that if a lot of people are talking about it and telling me what to do, I'm usually going to do the opposite.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes with gambling as well.
How's that working out for you though?
Not bad.
Doing okay?
We had actually a pretty good year.
Making some money?
I'm at about 57%.
That's making money.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Good job.
Yeah, I as you saw, I won our contest amongst the people on the air here.
Did
in
you?
Our little pick'em.
I didn't see that.
I ran away with it.
Not even close.
Didn't get any money. Didn't get a belt. Nothing.
But you got the pride.
I got the pride. I saved the email that said I won.
You just kind
I
of
thought about printing it out and putting it up in the
You
studio.
should.
You should.
Hell yeah. I
In
wouldn't-
color.
In the face. Yeah. Rub it in. Come on.
All right, Brian Christopherson's coming up at 9. Welcome back in, Jimmy, Nick, and Gary. The booty's back to $100. Nick will have a stat for you coming up here in a little bit. If you spent some time on TikTok yesterday, which is being banned everywhere.
Sorry. Every time you just
Do I not seem like a person that should be on TikTok?
You don't. And I love when you're like, so if you spend some time on TikTok.
It is
No,
one of
so
my
here's
favorites as well.
here's what did me in last night.
Okay.
So I watched the Baylor Kansas game, and then I watched the crazy ending in double overtime between New Mexico and Nevada.
Mm.
Go back and watch the end of the game, like how a lead was blown, and then Richard Pitino taking a timeout forced the officials to go look at the monitor, and they assessed a flagrant one, and Nevada wins the game. So I watched that, and I was beside myself on why a flagrant one wasn't called and why there wasn't an original foul on a New Mexico player that grabbed the rebound and had people like clawing at him. And then he threw an elbow and it connected, but they didn't call it. Then the play went up the floor. And I knew right away when New Mexico took a timeout, they were going to review it. And that's what they did. If Pitino doesn't call a timeout, they don't review it and they don't assess a flagrant one, and Nevada doesn't win at the end of the game. So I was watching all that. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't been on TikTok today. So I got to see how my flight attendants, the day in the life of a flight attendant, are doing.
Yeah.
Or, my God, everything was Joe Burrow. Everything was Joe Burrow.
Does that make you nervous?
Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow the best former Ohio State quarterback that's ever played in the NFL?
Right now?
Better than Tom Tupa. Better than Mike Tomzak.
Tom Zach. Don't do my boy
Justin
like that.
Fields.
Yeah, he's better than Justin Fields.
Art
right now.
Schleister.
Ah, yes, there it is.
Art Schleister.
The late Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
Bobby Hoyne.
He is. And everybody's going to say, well, no, LSU, no.
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
Troy Smith.
Well, Joe Burrow hasn't turned into a wide receiver yet, so yes. Terrell Pryor. Yeah, for a guy who didn't start at Ohio State.
Yeah, played 2 years through, 30 passes?
Yeah. How ironic is that? Your best alum is a guy who never even started and ended up transferring.
Kent Graham as well.
Oh,
I mean, that's an interesting list of Ohio
Tupa's my
State,
favorite because he
Ohio
can
State
punt.
quarterbacks that have been in the NFL. Because you would think there would be more and there'd be more success.
Did Bowserman ever get drafted? Sorry.
Off of performance in Lincoln?
Yeah. Come on.
So I got Joe Burrow on TikTok. Good looking guy. All right. He's got some swag, like some major swag.
Sure, he's done well.
There also was on TikTok. So this consumed about 35 minutes of my time last night.
This is after the game.
Yeah. So now we're looking at like 11:30 last night. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sleep.
Good Lord, man.
But
I was in my REM cycle by then.
Did you guys see or hear about the Damar Hamlin conspiracy theory from Sunday?
Okay, yeah. Was this
Kind of.
You're going to have to give me more detail on this because I saw something. I think Connor had tweeted something about the two images in his suite.
So there was somebody on TikTok that wondered if it was really Damar Hamlin.
Right.
They broke down all the video that CBS had from him getting out of the golf cart and going into the locker room. He had a hood on; you could never see his face. And then in the suite of the picture, CBS couldn't, because it was snowing, they couldn't get a good picture when he was introduced to the crowd.
It was kind of dark, like the lighting wasn't great in there either.
Yeah, and then the Bills released a picture, or released a video of somebody standing behind Damar Hamlin while he was standing up in the suite, and he was waving to the fans.
Yeah.
And his brother was there and his parents were there.
Right.
So this person on TikTok, and they got a lot of discussion, they thought it was a clone, that it was not really Damar Hamlin at the game on Sunday. And I'm like, man, going to be a long off season for Bills fans.
Yeah.
So that took up a lot of my time.
And wasn't it odd when they showed him on the video board in Buffalo when they really needed a stop and the Bengals had first and goal? It's like, hey, well, imagine the timing on that.
It was a goal line situation.
We need everything because we're running out of time.
Yeah. So where are you at on this conspiracy theory? Do you think, are you open to it?
Is this a grassy knoll?
No.
Or do you think, this is just typical conspiracy talk?
Okay. Don't you think his young brother would be like, okay, why does somebody playing the role of my older brother? Yeah, no. I mean, I thought about it for a moment. The guy made a point, and I'm like, come on. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. But it got a lot of run for, conspiracy theories sometimes can stretch for years and years and years. Sometimes they can go for about 15 to 30 minutes. This seemed to get about 5 to 6 hours of run, where it made you pause and go, okay, wow, he doesn't seem to be as big as Damar Hamlin when he was playing.
Yeah.
That was my night on TikTok last night. There also was the day yesterday. This is not a conspiracy theory. So Trev Alberts, who used to be the Omaha Athletic Director, which I'm going to have to tell the person on Twitter, he knows what hockey is because he used to be the AD here.
You're going to break someone's heart here.
Before he left to go to Nebraska, and this summer it'll be 2 years there. And Trev whatever Trev does in his administrative career, in his top 3 will always be Baxter Arena / softball and baseball complex. He's fantastic at projects, raising money, the vision, putting them together. So Baxter Arena has his fingerprints all over it. And so Trev is back in town yesterday, and he brings his football coach with him. The ice is still down at Baxter Arena. Omaha hockey's on the road. There's women's basketball, but the ice from Saturday night's still down, and so the hockey team is practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Trev shows up with his football coach, and they go out on the ice. And Trev hired Mike Abbott, so it's not like he had to go, hi, my name's Trev. Okay, right. He knows him. Probably still has the same code to get into the building.
Probably, yeah. I doubt they've changed it.
No, it's the
it wasn't like Trev left on bad terms. They're like, all right, we got to reconfigure everything.
The code on one of the doors is the code of when the building opened.
Yeah.
All right. So 2015. I'm just kidding.
Pound.
They don't use a code.
Pound.
Yeah. Make sure you go 2015 pound.
Pound. Otherwise, it's going to reset everything, and then we're all screwed.
I'll tell a quick little story here. This is my previous life down in Florida. Don't go try this, please, because it'll get me in trouble because I don't think they've changed the security code to get into the Minnesota Twins spring training complex. To get into the gate, one day I was locked out, and I was like, gosh, I don't have my key card.
Yeah.
My swipe when you pull up in your car. And so I had to call our head facilities manager. And he goes, don't you know the passcode to every gate on this complex is the year that it opened? I'm like, really?
That's common knowledge?
So I went around and I was like trying to
open it. Oh, wow.
Boy, are we not going to get, but Hammond Stadium, that complex has been around for, 30 plus years and nobody's ever.
If you're making your way out there.
Yeah.
Feel free to get there early.
Yeah. Well, they've changed it. I know that for a fact. Okay. So on to this. So Trev shows up yesterday with his football coach. And, they do a little picture and, Matt Rule hops on the ice and, sends a wrister into the net. It got a lot of likes. It got a lot of discussion. And, Omaha hockey is playing really well right now. They got a big weekend series. They go to number 9, Western Michigan. And for Omaha Athletics to get attention, they've got to win. Okay, I don't care what sport it is. It's not just, hey, it's Omaha Athletics. We're going to talk about them. We're going to go to the games. We're going to write about them. Omaha Athletics has to win. They have to win to get attention. And Omaha hockey is playing really well right now, and they're getting a lot of attention. Thus, they're getting butts in seats. So there is the part of being territorial.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people say, well, UNL and UNO, they work together.
There's an unspoken agreement, too.
Okay, Ted Carter works with them because Ted Carter oversees the whole thing.
Right.
And Ted Carter loves hockey, and he's been here numerous times, and he's a good ambassador for Omaha Athletics, and in particular, hockey, because that's where he has the most knowledge.
Right.
And people are like, oh, man, all right, great to see you with Gabs. I'm guessing, and I don't have any knowledge. I haven't talked to anybody at 60th and Dodge. I'm just my vibe on being very territorial. That's our thing because nobody else has hockey.
Right. Nothing
against Trev. I mean, the man can walk into that building. That's his building.
Yeah.
But I don't think that picture and video went over so well at 60th and Dodge.
I can understand that. I
just don't think it did.
Well,
even though it's getting a lot of attention towards one guy in the picture that is the head hockey coach, I don't think that went over well.
What do you think the conversations of people seeing that photo that were engaged in any type of Twitter conversations we're talking about? Wow, Matt Rule's everywhere, right? You know how I feel about UNO hockey.
Mm-hmm.
That had nothing to do with, and I know even what Trev tweeted. Hansel, he's so hot right now, Hansel. No, but like UNO hockey's so hot right now. Nobody read that. It was like, oh, hey, this is. It was more about, man,
GBR.
You got the head coach. Yeah, GBR. You got the head coach. The football coach is even getting down with hockey. Matt Rule, Nebraska football. Oh, cool. Trev's back at his own stomping grounds. But how much of that was even slightly mentioned, even though Trev put that in the tweet about UNO hockey, Mike Gabinet, this year's team? That's not where the conversation spun.
Or it went to, oh, this is going to be great, Trev, because you're going to have hockey in Lincoln.
Or that, yeah. Then you could go down that. It completely deflected off what I assume was the purpose from Trev, but Trev also being a very smart person, he understands how people are going to react with images like that, where it's almost like trying to show unity of the athletic system in the state, yet nobody is going to look at the two, not just the picture with Trev Alberts and Mike Gabinet and Matt Rule, but also then subsequently you get a tweet of a video of Matt Rule firing a wrister in. So it quickly goes from, hey, Gabinet and the hockey program are looking great. They're so hot. I'm their former boss. To, did you see what our head football coach could do on the ice? This guy can do it all. So, I mean, it completely lost its meaning. It was almost sort of like this, the way that I interpret it, kind of a pat on the head. Hey, guys, how you doing? This is another platform, though, to show you what our head coach is up to. That's how I see it.
I mean, there are certain cases where UNL and UNO athletics work together, but I think they'd like to stand alone, to be on their own.
Yeah.
And
especially when it comes to your sports that you identified to.
And I mean, hey, Trev still has a vested interest. He keeps in contact with a lot of us.
Yep.
He still is very cognizant of what goes on with Omaha Athletics, how their teams do, because there's a good majority of the coaches that are here he hired.
Right.
And, and the hockey is kind of, he's not a hockey guy, but he kind of became a hockey guy. I just saw that picture. It's great, great that Trev's back in the building. But I saw it and I'm like, ooh, that isn't going to go over so well. That will not sit well with the guys at 60th and Dodge. They're very territorial, like to stand alone. It's our we appreciate UNL,
right?
But we are Omaha, and that's us, and especially that sport that nobody else has.
I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying.
And let me.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I just saw this. Well, what about John Cook? Well, John Cook has been very active in helping Omaha volleyball. And he came to a game through the fish on the ice. So he was more. I'm not bringing attention to Nebraska volleyball. I'm bringing attention to Omaha hockey.
Yeah.
Okay. And he is.
I want to see what this is all about.
And John has been. I think either John one day will retire and he'll go to his house out in Wyoming, or he will say, "Hey, let's start men's volleyball at Omaha, and I will be the head coach."
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I want to make this very clear. I don't think this was Trev's intention. I don't think this at all, what I'm about to say. I think Trev legitimately, genuinely wanted to say hi to Gabs, a guy that he has a good relationship with, a guy that he hired. And yeah, a hockey program that I think is still very near and dear to his heart, especially when you get into that building and you see what it is, because that was Trev. But the way that I interpret it is, UNO, even though, as Jimmy mentioned during the Deuce, they're not in the top 20, but they're basically number 21. They're on a little bit of a roll. They have the best winning streak right now, longest winning streak in the NCHC right now. Okay, they've got some good things going on. In a way, it was almost sort of a hijacking of the moment. That's kind of how I think it does sort of come across without that being the intention.
And I probably would have reacted differently if Adrian is standing there next to Trev.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody from UNO, except for the head hockey coach, was anywhere to be found.
Right. Yeah, it was just. I think it lost its meaning.
Hope this doesn't hurt the chances of Omaha men's basketball in Nebraska doing their deal to play again next year in basketball. Yeah. It's one of those things that we all are, you're very territorial.
Yeah.
We see, Omaha and Creighton, and then Omaha and Nebraska, with a guy that is extremely familiar with the workings that go on here.
Yeah.
But it's changed a little bit. Adrian operates a little bit differently. So just an observation. I'm sure we're looking deeper than most people saw. That's cool. Omaha hockey is getting attention. And again, for Omaha Athletics to get attention in any sport, they've got to win. Omaha Athletics needs hockey to win. Okay. They need hockey to break the ceiling of 6,300 people going to Baxter Arena. They need men's basketball to win. That school at 60th and Dodge will change forever the first time that Omaha men's basketball is in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I understand that hockey is the sport. Men's basketball is right there with them. But going to the Frozen Four is not the same as going to the NCAA men's basketball.
No, it's not.
But Omaha Athletics needs both of those sports to be successful. And they can be successful together, even though there are times where they butt heads over funding and availability and things like that.
Yeah.
But they're winning. You win, you draw attention. And Omaha hockey definitely is winning right now. And so they're getting a lot of attention, and that's great.
Well, and it's funny because you being in the spot that you're in, me being in the spot I am, being around the hockey program as much as I am, you being around the men's basketball program as much as you are, I would totally agree with what you just said there, though, because college basketball, that's a mainstream. Well, first of all, for sports fans, obviously basketball, the sport itself, has a much larger following. We know that. But the NCAA tournament, it is one of the best 2-day stretches of the year. And when you have your program on display on one of those days, it's huge. It is a game changer. You get to the Frozen Four for what you are trying to accomplish is huge for the program, but on a large scale of how many eyeballs it draws, it's just not the same. I think even any college hockey coach would tell you that. They understand that. That's not a knock on what they're trying to accomplish or what they could accomplish if they get back to the Frozen Four, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. I mean, when Omaha was playing in Boston, that was great. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a lot of fun. But your university, I saw this firsthand at FGCU. If you are a new program to Division I athletics and the first time you go to the NCAA men's basketball tournament, it changes your university forever.
Yeah.
It did that at FGCU. I look at Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts in the Summit League, which is, we're there on Saturday night in Tulsa. Oral Roberts is, they're the best team in this league, and there's a gap, is they went to the NCAA tournament, not only they went all the way to the Sweet 16. Their university has changed.
Yep.
Like they dance now, which I always laughed at, because during games at ORU, in the second half, they invite fans onto the floor to dance. Like during the game, but apparently in the laws of Oral Roberts, you can't dance. It's like footloose.
Well, it's just going to ask.
They promote.
Is there a pastor in town that's banned it?
I always chuckle when people say, "Oh, that's the school you can't dance." I'm like, you got to go to a game. Like in the second half, at the second media timeout, they invite everybody down on the floor to dance.
All of a sudden, they have a Kevin Bacon goes,
"Let's party!" But them going to the Sweet 16, and they haven't been back since. But they're in a good spot to get back there this year. Is the influx of people that now are wanting to go to school there, that are not from the Tulsa area or the state of Oklahoma, and then the money that has flowed in, that they have revamped their practice facility in the Mabee Center there in Tulsa, which is a little bit of an older facility, but all of a sudden they have all this money. Look at Omaha's next project here, and I know Trev's vision for the next and last phase, which I always thought was going to be his last thing to do at Omaha before he retired. And then the Nebraska job opened up, is they're going to move the entire athletic operation down to, basically the I don't know, I wouldn't say Sharp Village because it's across the street where Baxter Arena is in softball and baseball. They're going to move all of athletics down there and hopefully build a practice facility, get all the weight room, all that stuff, and then turn over the SAP Fieldhouse and all that to the university.
Yeah.
That's the next phase. Well, if you have a huge influx of money and all of a sudden of attention, then, somebody like St. Thomas in Minnesota says, I got 75 mil. Adrian, where would you like me to drop it off?
Right.
That's what happened at St. Thomas. And all of a sudden they're going to have a sparkling hockey and basketball arena.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's,
it's significant.
You carve out your piece.
No, it's significant.
I don't think that was good yesterday. All right. 8:38. BC's coming up at the top of the hour on Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. All right, college basketball season full swing. And if you need tickets for the season's biggest games, then be sure to check out my friends at Tickets for Less. The big game that is coming up on Saturday, downtown, Xavier and Creighton. Whether you're a fan of the Blue Jays, the Huskers, or UNO, or any other program, ticketsforless.com has the best selection of tickets with no per-ticket fees. You can save even more when you use our special listener promo code. Remember this code, The Zone, all one word, The Zone at checkout. Simply enter the code, The Zone, to earn a discount on your next ticket order. That's that easy. My good friends at ticketsforless.com, they will take care of you today. Also, download their free Tickets for Less app from your app store.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. 1620 The Zone wants you to win Gary's booty. Whoa, wait, what? Win $100 or more every weekday on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Listen during the 6 and 8 o'clock hours for Gary and Nick to give you their stat of the day. Then during the 7 and 9 a.m. hours, listen for the cue to call, know the stat, and win a buttload of cash. Answer it correctly, and Gary's booty gets even bigger. Yep, we'll keep adding $100 to the booty bank till the correct answer's given on air. Win your share of Gary's booty on Mornings with Sharp and Handley with 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A seasonal January day ahead for Tuesday. Watch out for areas of patchy fog in the morning, mainly north of the metro. Oh, I'd expect a few peaks of sunshine early, then clouding over for the afternoon. Highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, we have a disabled vehicle to report that has the center lane blocked along I-680 at Pacific, and that's going to be backed up all the way to I-80, where you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes. Then there's also an accident to report on I-680 at Fort Street, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. Then along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant delays from 149th to 138th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the pro football playoffs or a rivalry on the hardwood, you'll find all the action on Oscar's upgraded audio video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd in Maple.
The Creighton Blue Jays return home Wednesday night for the first matchup this season with St. John's. Pre-game coverage begins with Ravi Lula at 6 p.m. Tip-off is at 8. The Blue Jays Wednesday night on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
There's a lot of misconceptions about heating and cooling out there, so it's time we clear the air. When your heater goes out when it's below freezing, that's more than just annoying. Relying on your HVAC system shouldn't be a roll of the dice. Cold weather doesn't clock out, and at 1 hour heating and air conditioning, neither do we. From simple repairs to more complicated fixes, at 1 hour heating and air conditioning, we're always on time, or you don't pay time. Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourheatandair.com. Each location independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for The Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Because it's never too early to talk a little baseball. The Twins acquire veteran Michael A. Taylor from the Royals on Monday night in exchange for 2 relief pitching prospects. The 31-year-old.
They weren't even in the top 30 of the Twins prospects.
The 31-year-old Taylor batted .254 with 9 home runs and 43 RBIs and 414 at-bats last season for the Royals. His second year with the club after spending his first 7 major league seasons with the Washington Nationals. The Twins sent 23-year-old right-hander Steven Cruz and 25-year-old left-hander Evan Sisk to the Royals. Taylor's best offensive season came in 2017 with the Nats when he hit .271 with 19 homers and 53 RBIs. He did win a Gold Glove in his first season in Kansas City in 2021. The Twins now have 3 outfielders on their roster who have won Gold Gloves. Taylor joins Byron Buxton and newcomer Joey Gallo. So how about the Twins?
Joey Gallo is playing in Minnesota. Wow.
Yeah.
It's actually so.
Can he play defense too?
He's going to be swinging to that short porch in right field. It's not a bad move for the Royals to move on from Michael A. Taylor because they have to open up some spots. Will Alberto Mondesi be the opening day center fielder in Kansas City? Or Drew Waters, who they acquired from Atlanta? Well, I think is going to be okay in Kansas City.
You saying there's a little hope down there?
No, you know what? So this year is going to be rough again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, they could have another losing record, and they haven't had a winning record since the World Series year.
Yeah.
The next couple of years, the Royals will make the turn. Are they going to be able to grab? Like, I asked this question, and kind of Connor blew me off a little bit. If the Minnesota Twins can go out and spend the money on Correa, you remember the Twins also had a big deal for Mauer. Now, a little bit different, a hometown kid, and they want to keep him a Twin for life.
Right.
But the Royals have never really had that big deal. And now they've got a young superstar in Bobby Witt Jr. And they got some young, promising players. They are closing in on moving downtown. So they really want to ramp it up where they're playing well when they go into the new stadium in Kansas City.
Timed.
Yeah. Do they make the step where they spend big with a new owner who I think wants to spend big? John Sherman, I think he wants to win. He wants to win a World Series.
They're doing some smart things.
And Dayton Moore is out of the way,
Yeah.
which helps out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you like it or not, Dayton Moore isn't bringing in Aroldis Chapman.
No.
The new regime says, yeah, we need some arms in the bullpen, and we'll see if Chapman has anything left. But will the Royals get to a point where they make a big splash and they make a big free agent signee that they're attractive enough that somebody says, yeah, I'll come play with that young talent and there's some good young pitching? No, that'll be like the next step for the Royals. But I think this was kind of coming. I thought it would happen sooner in the Hot Stove League. The Twins didn't give up much, and it helps the Twins. But I think it down the road it will help the Royals because they do have a logjam in the outfield.
Yeah.
Will you guys go to Kansas City to see Chapman pitch?
I always like to go down to Kansas City anytime they're playing Cleveland anyway. So is he now a bigger draw for me?
I've never seen him pitch. Like his velocity is down.
When
he was with the Cubs, which I was, with everything surrounding Aroldis Chapman, I was not super enthused.
Yeah.
To see somebody throw that hard is pretty.
And
like,
for
whoa.
his size too, when you couple the not only the velocity that is so rare, but the size on top of that, I mean, it's something to behold. Sure. Is it gonna all of a sudden now? If I wasn't interested in going to Kansas City, now I'd be interested. Maybe 2 years ago, if they had him 2 years ago, sure.
Because that's part of the thinking as well. Is will we get a bump?
Yeah,
with Aroldis Chapman in a Royals uniform that people will want to come see him pitch.
I can't see that. I mean, we'll go down because we miss it, and we miss going to games there. But no, it's not.
You know what's going to get me down there more than anything is new ballpark location.
So I gotta say barbecue.
Well, you're going to save some time. You're not going to be there for a while.
No, well, no, I'm just saying that. But that to me is more important than Aroldis Chapman. Again, Aroldis Chapman 2 years ago, yeah, definitely.
Now, somebody I would go see, a complete transition here. And there's sometimes like when you're promoting, so I'm going to bring Omaha men's basketball back into this. When you're trying to put butts in seats, like you're selling tickets, and your whole goal is to have as many of those seats full. And maybe your team isn't playing as well, but you're playing like Connecticut. Connecticut's going to be a draw for Creighton women's basketball.
Yeah.
But you don't want to promote Creighton. But you know that people that maybe don't follow or are not Creighton fans, but they like women's basketball, they want to come see Paige Beckers. Or they want to come see Gino on the sideline.
You want to see Gino?
Okay. So you promote that you're playing UConn, but you're not really promoting UConn. It's just like Omaha did a really good job of promoting the game on a Thursday night during the Christmas break against Oral Roberts without saying, hey, come see a really, really good basketball team in Max Asmus.
Yeah.
Okay. And they had a really good crowd that night.
Yep.
So Nebraska women's basketball is doing the same thing. And last night, and she's very polarizing because she plays with a lot of emotion, and she can be a big baby on the floor. But when she's not being a baby, she's one of the best in their sport, and that's Caitlin Clark. So last night, Iowa women go into Columbus, and they beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
Okay, first time Ohio State's lost. She had a triple-double on the road against the number 2 team in the country. Enough said. All right, Caitlin Clark is one of the best in the sport. So Nebraska women, ironically, play at Iowa this weekend, but then Iowa plays in Lincoln on the 18th,
Yeah.
Saturday, and they have done the promotion of Pack PBA.
Yep.
Right.
It's also K-Yow Day. So it's their
Yes.
their
Pink.
pink game.
Yeah.
So they're trying to fill PBA, and they're trying to make it a big deal, and they're trying not to say, hey, come see Caitlin Clark play.
Right. Come see Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
But essentially you are, and I would go see her play.
Yeah.
Like, I would go see when, UConn was here last year, not, because Beckers is out for the year. I want to go see Paige Beckers in person.
Yeah, when you
So
have
I'd
one
go
of the
see-
best
go see
players
Maxie
in
Smith.
all of the sport.
So in terms of going to see players and not saying, hey, this is who we're
Yeah.
promoting, Nebraska, their ticket office is basically saying, hey, come watch Caitlin Clark play.
Yeah.
But oh, by the way, you get the Huskers as well.
Yeah, Nebraska there, the fanfare, all that, it goes with it. It was funny, too, because I was catching a little bit when I was shoveling the other day. Like, was it halftime of the Nebraska men's basketball game? And they were already advertising for that during the commercial breaks. They already were advertising for the Iowa-Nebraska game. And so I remember the next day I said, Connor, is that game like this weekend? No, it's not till like late February.
Really? We went to the game a couple weeks ago. They were already promoting it.
And
I thought it was soon.
Do they not have home games between now and the 18th?
Yeah. That's the tough thing of marketing where they always tell you, if you're in baseball, you got to market a homestand. But you know that your Fridays and your Saturdays are your big days where you really want to build those up. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit different in college athletics, but they do have a lot surrounding the day because it is their pink day.
Yeah.
But essentially they're saying, hey, put 15,000 in here to come watch one of the best women's basketball players that's been in the Big Ten in a long time. Man, she's got 8 triple-doubles.
That's crazy.
She's got 8 triple-doubles in her career. And she was unreal last night. That got a lot of my attention because I saw the score initially. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Iowa on the road at Ohio State are doing, because they were up 10 at the break. But yeah, they're promoting that Pac PBA, but they're not. They wouldn't have selected Pac PBA against Maryland.
No.
Right. Who they played this weekend. And Nebraska women's basketball draws pretty well.
They do.
But they're trying for one particular player.
Can't you just like really lean into the rivalry part of it too? I mean, you could promote that against rival Iowa, and then you associate Iowa with a really good player too, without having to say really good player.
Well, so Nebraska wrestling kind of does the same thing.
Yeah.
Is, hey, come watch Nebraska wrestle. But, oh, by the way, they're wrestling against Iowa.
Yeah, or Penn State.
And then, and then all of a sudden all the Iowa fans show up. And it's that tricky thing. But I heard that advertisement yesterday when I was watching BTN.
Yeah.
Is it Pac PBA?
Yeah.
Essentially come watch Caitlin Clark play.
Yeah, because last week in the win against Ohio State, hearing that on the commercials, just kind of two things. Hearing the 1890 initiative commercials. Hey, would you like to support a student athlete through NIL? That was weird.
So
and then hearing all the way to February 18th, a game that is still, 3 or 4 home games away.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that to be kind of odd. But I get it. I mean, if it's a special day that you're really trying to make a push, I get it. I just, it was confusing.
So
to
who
me.
was the voice on the 1890 commercial?
I don't know. I didn't recognize it.
Okay. I'm wondering if we will get to a point where coaches are doing the commercials.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Ooh. Well,
I could
why
see it.
why couldn't you? Why couldn't you right now? Because it's not like
let's say I go to
let's induce an athlete to come over here.
No, I go to Lincoln tomorrow night, or I go downtown, and during one of the timeouts on the video board, it's either Fred or Mac, and they're saying, "Hey, thank you for attending tonight's game.
Yeah.
If you want to help our program, you can help our student athletes."
Yeah. Well,
where coaches, and the first place I saw this was I went to the KU-TCU football game, and Lance Leipold is doing, hey, you can help out KU football. You can help out our student athletes. You want them just to send you a birthday message, or you want them to come to your grade school?
Yeah.
This is what you can do to help our student athletes and to grow our brand. And
they should.
So,
and I guarantee you, Brandon
so is
Schneider,
it-
the women's coach, is doing it too for that reason.
So it was just like it was not a
Yeah,
coach's
it
voice?
was a regular voice.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a recognizable voice, unless it was a coach that I haven't heard speak. But it wasn't like Matt Rule, it wasn't Fred, it wasn't Amy, it wasn't John. Yeah.
You know what I will give? I will give some of these collectives that I know around here, and all three, red, blue, and black Nebraska, all have a collective going on. Is that I think the thing about NIL is you think you got to have a lot of money to help out. They actually have said, hey, $50, $100, $200. They're not saying, hey, you got to have $1,000 or $10,000 to help us out and get involved.
Right.
Anything helps.
Yeah.
And so they're drawing in a new group of people that, they don't have a lot of expendable income, but they love their school. They love Omaha. They love Creighton, and they love Nebraska. They just want to help out just a little bit to say,
donate at any level.
Say, hey, I'm helping with my butt in your seat, and I'm also going to help out a student athlete.
Yeah.
That's why we got BC coming up here in a little bit. The whole, Nebraska football, and they're going to get to the number. Don't panic. To go from 100 to 85.
Yeah, they will.
I mean,
so spring's gonna be fun.
There's 15 to chop.
Yeah,
and there's probably going to be 3 or 4 that you go, whoa. Then the others you'll be like, that makes sense.
Most of them will make sense.
But everybody says, okay, why can't you just, instead of chopping, give an athlete an NIL scholarship? I'm always I'm curious on how that's going to work. Like BYU does that, but we talk about it a lot, especially with Nebraska football. But I wonder if it's realistic.
Well,
and what it actually looks like. And you don't have to answer. I will ask BC and we'll get into this discussion. But that's now what's come up is, okay, hey, maybe there's some guys you really like that you don't want to cut. Turn them into an NIL scholarship. Well, what does that look like? We'll get into that when we come back. And BC joins us in the last hour on a Tuesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, with the new year again, a great time to get out to Woodhouse Mazda, your Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers in 2 locations out in Bellevue and in West Omaha. And I encourage you to check out the 2023 Mazda CX-5. It is the car that I drive, but that's not the reason to get it. I love it. And I've been driving one. I've now been in 2 different ones here in the last 5 years. But everything from the innovation safety features to the infotainment system, it just makes driving your car fun. That's the one thing that stands out more than anything. Yes, it's got a Top Safety Plus pick award, and it's got that confidence that is going to allow you to get from point A to point B with you and your family as comfortable and as safe as possible. But also, again, from the sales process, why I've been a Woodhouse customer for over 20 years is because there's no pressure sales. They've got the streamlined sales process. Heck, I even had my new car delivered to me, not even having to go to the dealership. And if you go to WoodhousePlaceMazda.com or WoodhouseMazda.com, you can chat with a sales team rep. You can shop inventory. You can even apply for financing and make your car purchase online. That is convenience. But again, as always, get out there for a test drive, and you can even set that up online at Woodhouse Mazda. So be sure to check out the all-new 2023 Mazda CX-5 at Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Hey friends, Kent Pavelka here, back with John Higgins and the Rooferees at the Weather Guard showroom. The difference between your company and the ones that haven't been around very long, and what's the real value there?
We started the business in '85. That has to be worth something that you've been in the community for this long. If people are just out there to shop the price and not the service and the quality of what we do and the integrity of who we are, those people may not be for us, and that's okay.
The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Do you know a high school senior who'd like a $12,000 college scholarship? Well, be sure to tell them that the Salvation Army is now seeking nominations for the DJ's Hero Award scholarships. We're looking for Nebraska high school seniors who have overcome adversity and who are doing the most good in their communities. The application deadline is March 8th. Nominate your hero today. Just go to djsheroapp.org for more information. That's djsheroapp.org. djsheroapp.org.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. A new year means it's time for a new you. 5 years ago, I was in that exact spot and I was ready to ditch the glasses for good. I scheduled a consultation with Dr. Kugler and his team at Kugler Vision and figured out which of the procedures would work best for me. You can do the same today. Go to the website, kuglervision.com, and also check out their special New Year savings on modern LASIK. That's kuglervision.com.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center, we have a disabled vehicle to report that has the center lane blocked along I-680 at Pacific, and that's going to be backed up all the way to I-80, where you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes. Then there's also an accident to report on I-680 at Fort Street, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. Then along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant delays from 149th to 138th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
There's a lot more to love for a lot less at Saul's Jewelry and Loan. Now through Valentine's Day, get 50% off a huge selection of jewelry. Heart-shaped jewelry, gemstones, everything you need to show your love. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. It's the Celebration of Love sale with 50% off jewelry at Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
When cancer hits home, when you need answers and hope, turn to Nebraska Medicine, where cancer care is world-leading and personal. In one visit, you'll meet with the team specializing in your cancer, discover treatments based on your DNA, and the support that makes a difference, like a nurse case manager and multiple locations, so you can always be close to home. For cancer, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/cancer.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton men's basketball is back at CHI Health Center tomorrow as they host St. John's. Tip-off is set for 8 p.m. Limited tickets are available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. That's Creighton versus St. John's tomorrow at 8 p.m. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
$16.20 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
1620 The Zone will be on location Friday, January 27th at the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska. Stop by and drop off a donation of paper products, gift cards, or cash. Listen to 1620 The Zone and visit cancer.org/pinkout. From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, last hour on a Tuesday, the 24th of January. It is National Peanut Butter Day. Creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Crunchy.
Brian
Right.
Christopherson of Husker 24/7, creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
Probably creamy now. It used to be crunchy when I was a kid, though. I think I've shifted.
Is there a reason why? Texture?
No, it's just,
Convenience?
It's like those commercials where you're becoming like your parents. I don't know. Certain things in your world just sort of you're like, I turned into that. Huh? I'm not a crunchy guy anymore.
Creamy
You just kinda
spreads
look up
better.
and-
Relatable.
Creamy spreads better. I'll give you that, but it's just something about the crunch. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm old enough. There was an ad back in the day for a Jiffy or whatever.
Mhm.
They would, the mom would draw a heart in the peanut butter for her son. And my mother did that for me every morning. And so I carry that with me. That's a special peanut butter memory with mom.
Hey, something you just mentioned. God, don't some of those progressive commercials where you're turning into your mom or dad, don't they all kind of like hit home? And you
love 'em.
pause and you go, oh, that's right. I do some things like my dad used to do.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I am the people in those commercials.
Do you realize? So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but there's the one where the guy at the very end has the remote control. He wants to Velcro it. I looked at my wife. I'm like, that's a great idea. And she goes, stop it right now. I'm like, no, it's a good idea. We lose the remote all the time.
Yeah.
Hey,
the one where the lady is speaking on her speakerphone in the store, the mom. That I looked at my mom. I was like, you should just walk out of the room. I mean, that's you.
Hey, we are all doing the math on Nebraska's scholarship distribution. There's a lot of programs that probably are very envious that can't get to 85. Nebraska says, no, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But it's going to work out that you will get to 85 by the time that camp opens up. But there's the discussion about, you got to process players, or players will, and after spring they'll realize that, they're not making any headway. They want to play, going to have better opportunities somewhere else. But the thing that I keep hearing is, well, we have name, image, likeness. Why can't we just put guys on name, image, likeness scholarship? Do you think that's realistic? And if it is, how do you think it would work?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to, so I'm not going to give a good answer. But I've pondered that myself, and it's worth floating in the air. Is there something now with the way things are structured that allows you to keep guys who you would consider usually scholarship guys on board in a different format? They're financially covered one way or another. It's all up and up. Is that possible? I don't know. I think there might be avenues to that. So it's worth exploring how they could work that out. I think one of the things about that, which could be tricky, is I wonder how much they'll want, if there is stuff like that you can do, how much you want to like publicize all of it, so that's where it could be one of those sort of difficult things where you're like, oh, that guy's not technically on scholarship, huh? But he's still here, and you don't know the exact reasons, but you got to figure there's something that's keeping him, in a good spot financially. So yeah, I definitely think in this, the way college football and college sports is set up, there are maybe avenues that weren't there previously that you at least got to think about. But I'm not also saying that's for sure happening. I don't know. It is, what are they at? Like high 90s now with guys over there. So, I mean, they're going to have,
right?
there's going to have to be 10 to 15, 15 guys plus maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
That are going to have to disappear, or you find avenues for them. And maybe there's some guys they know about too that are leaning a certain way, or, something's happening, and that's always the case. This is maybe not a good reporter thing, but I do always sort of, when people ask that, I say, you know what? Pretty smart guys over there. They know what they got to get to. One way or another, they're going to get there, and we're going to document it. And I don't know how it's going to be, but it's going to happen, and it will. But man, it's going to be competitive in the spring and interesting.
Yeah, and we've been talking about the competition. Obviously, you need to get 15. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more to come that you're going to add to the roster between now and the end of April. But do you kind of look at that percentage of the people who will end up hitting the transfer portal post spring I mean, do you think it's going to be pretty much like, 80% of those are going to be the no-brainers, or do you think there could be some more surprises than maybe we're giving credit to?
I suppose there could be a surprise or two. You never know if, someone just doesn't feel like they fit after they go through a spring. I mean, there's always that possibility. Right. I don't think there'll be many of those, though. I think they would probably be guys you figure, okay, they've went through the process. They feel like, maybe they weren't told specifically this, but they feel like they're 6th or 7th at their spot or whatever, 3rd, 4th team. And it's just like, I want to try something else, and you'll see them pop in there. So I think it's going to be more of those guys, but you guys know, like, you wake up every morning and you're like, I'm prepared to be surprised with something. So you never say for sure. Like, if you had told me, like, back on, late October, early November, and maybe I had my head on the sand on this, but I'll just say it. I didn't think Ernest Hausman was leaving back then, you know? So, I mean, that I always think about examples like that where it's like, well, don't act like somebody's a given, because you never know anymore.
Your reaction, because now you're on the side of at 24/7 where, you cover recruiting on a daily basis compared to the Journal-Star. What's your read on the 2-month approach to recruiting? What would be a word or two you would use to describe the way Nebraska approaches recruiting, whether it be in the state of Texas, in-state, or elsewhere that they've kind of planted their flag?
I would say relentless. It's fair. I mean, it just feels like it's nonstop. Oh, they offered this guy. Oh, he's a 25 guy. Okay, that's a 24 guy. It's like you can't. It's not even one lane of the road you're necessarily settled in. It's not like they just said, okay, we're here and we're going to try our best to put together this 23 class, and then we'll catch a breath and we'll work from there. No, they were at the same time. They've been in on intriguing guys for the next cycle, for the one we're now entering, and the one beyond. I mean, they're going to host a 25 QB, I think, this weekend. And, like Aaron Hampton didn't come in, but he's a top 100 or whatever recruit in the 24 class. He was supposed to be here with the guys who are deciding right now. So I would say it's been relentless. It's been caffeinated, like Red Bull recruiting. It feels like. I mean, all those apply, I think.
Well, and Brian, this is the one thing that I've kind of pondered as well, because I think anytime you get a former NFL coach, even a guy who was a college coach like Matt Rule, but you just come from the NFL, people are always wondering, okay, how's recruiting going to look? Is this going to be something that's going to be a top priority, knowing that it needs to be, especially to a place like Nebraska? So clearly part of, Matt Rule winning over Trev and Trev, feeling confident in Matt Rule, there was obviously a plan on how they're going to rebuild the roster. As you just pointed out there, just the energy that's gone into this with this coaching staff, including Matt Rule, is that what you just are going to expect every year? I mean, is this not necessarily trying to put out the best first impression, but this is just the way it's going to be with the staff?
Well, a couple lines stick out. Rule on the early signing day broadcast was talking about how some of his coaches were having a conversation. I think they're at Temple, and they said, man, if we ever get a logo on our sweater, it's going to be nuts. Yeah. And so they weren't knocking where they're at, but it's just a real comment about, like, okay, they felt like we can get dudes to Temple, and we've put them in the league from Temple, and guys who are under the radar there. Imagine if we can walk into hallways at a Power 5 program, and obviously Baylor was that, but even Baylor's been better than Nebraska recently, but I know what they're saying. There's that Nebraska name that still resonates with, like, that 45-year-old high school coach and some of those people when you walk in, and there's something to it. And so when he said that told you, like, they are very confident in, like, exactly how they do things and the process that has taken them to success elsewhere. And now, why can't that be sort of on steroids, with the Nebraska logo? And then Tony White, defensive coordinator, in the media gathering, he said, if you can't recruit, you ain't here. That's just this staff. Like, it's going to be a competitive staff, even with each other in recruiting. and that's just the way this program is going to be run. And so I don't think it's the first impression. I don't think I'm just buttering them up by saying this stuff. I think that's just how they're going to be as far as recruiting goes. And now the question is, can they develop those guys at the same level they did at Baylor and Temple?
What do you think and then it happens yesterday where you get 2 commitments from 2 guys from Texas at these respective positions. How do you think wide receiver in the spring will play out? Not necessarily names, but guys that will be in their top 6. Why will they be in their top 6? What do you think will be the difference when Garrett McGuire goes through his first spring in deciding with a bunch of different pieces on which ones are going to be the most important pieces?
I think it's just going to be who does the details the best. But, I think they're going to want physical guys too, as much as they've talked about, the want to run the ball and having a bit of old school flavor to what they do. They're going to want guys on the perimeter who are going to lay it on the line, and they're going to be impact guys, whether the ball's coming their way or not. That's what I think. Now, I'm really interested when we hear from, Garrett McGuire for reasons beyond, everybody's of course interested that he's such a young guy in his position. But yeah, I would lay out what is your vision for this? What is a great receiver to you? What did that experience, the last couple of years working with the Carolina Panthers and guys who are grown men, pros like, Robbie Anderson type guys.
Yeah.
What did that teach you? And how can that help going forward? So I'm interested in all of that. But I think they're going to have to be physical guys who, the guys who know their stuff in and out and show that by the end of spring, okay, this is what you put in front of me. I've read the book. I've got a good knowledge of it. And I think that's the separation point in a room that is going to be elbows out. I mean, there's 2 or 3 guys you could name, like your Marcus Washingtons and stuff, or, maybe Alante Brown, but it feels like everybody should be on the edge of their seat in that room.
Well, and what's interesting too is when you start thinking about building some type of rapport and chemistry, that Casey's not going to really have much of that in the spring. So you look at Jeff Sims, and if you start to see something with him and a certain group of wide receivers, I mean, how impactful do you think that is going into the fall? What seems to be an inevitable competition between Casey and Jeff Sims?
Well, yeah. I mean, that would have to be tough for Casey. I mean, when you're maybe not involved in the spring as you recover from, shoulder injuries or whatever has all took place with the off-season work, because there is going to be that rapport that gets built up, between a QB and his receivers. Starts to become a little bit of a connection there. And obviously, he has it with some of those guys. I think he has it with Marcus and Alante, and there's a few others that have been around. But it is I can't spin it another way. It feels like a golden opportunity for Sims if he's like the main guy out there, for 15 practices, not just to show okay, I'm picking up this system well and I'm on the same page as Satterfield. But yeah, look at this development of the bond between me and the receivers. I mean, if he can get that going, that is a half step ahead of the other person who can't have that. So that's definitely a dynamic in this thing.
Hey, let me ask you about Cam Taylor-Britt because it's people say who day, and they say, well, it's the Nebraska Bengals. You have Stanley Morgan, you have Cam Taylor-Britt, you have Zach Taylor, you have Troy Walters. So there's 4 guys that are in the organization. And watching Cam Taylor-Britt play, and he's probably of rookie cornerbacks in that organization. They had a great player named Leon Hall, but that's going back, maybe 15 years ago. But CTB has, as the season has gone on, has gotten better at the tail end. He's gotten more experience under his belt. Some people are surprised that he's able to step in and he's playing at a high level, especially like he played on Sunday. Why doesn't it surprise you that Cam Taylor-Britt has transitioned into the NFL and has made an impact like he has on a team that is very much a Super Bowl type team?
Because if you watched him, it doesn't surprise me, because if you watched him against the best receivers in the Big Ten when he was at Nebraska, he was a problem for them. He frustrated Jahan Dotson. David Bell. I mean, remember the game?
Yeah.
It might have been the COVID year. I don't remember. The year they won out in Purdue, and he was on Bell for a large part of the game and held them to like 50 yards, something, which is pretty good. And then Bell had that one catch where two like Huskers collided and it stacked his numbers, and he got it. You give David Bell credit there, but Cam could shut those guys down and take away like the main guy from the other offense in the Big Ten for those who are paying attention. And yeah, he had a couple bonehead plays along the way. I think it took a while for Husker fans, if we're honest, to get over that mishap in the opener against Illinois, on the 2-yard line, and he kind of struggled as a punt returner. But if you just focus on his corner work, he was a freak, and the other guys that were going against him knew that. They so it was like game recognizes game. You could tell everybody thought that about him, and I'm not surprised at all. He's taken off as he has. I remember a Friday Night Lights one. I was sitting there. He had just arrived on campus. He was a freshman, and there's that fence that separates, like, the seating area from the field. There's a red fence. It's a decent-sized fence. He was standing still, and he just jumped without any run and jumped over it, way over it. He was like 1.5 feet over this fence, and I was like, that guy's a freak. Like, it was one of those things, like, this guy is, I can't wait to watch him. So I'm really happy for him.
You know what? And I know that development has been a big topic of lack of development has plagued Nebraska the last 5 years under Scott. Cam Taylor-Britt would be one of those guys that I would say he came in, he was extremely talented at Alabama, because I remember interviewing him, and he wanted to talk more about his offensive ability than where Nebraska was going to start him out playing at cornerback. But he came in a little bit raw, and he left as a guy in a short amount of time that started nearly every game outside of his first year, that I think he's a prototypical, if we have to say, hey, who's a guy you developed? And especially Travis Fisher, you could say, hey, there's a guy in the NFL in his rookie year in Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah. And you know what else about Cam I would tell people? I think they sensed that he had a great personality, but like he came back for his pro day, and he did a little gathering with the media, and I don't want to say those things are awkward, but sometimes you can tell guys are kind of done with the place. They've kind of moved on to the next step in their life. Not always, but some guys do. And Cam was like so appreciative to be back in Nebraska, and he just said, "I miss you guys." Like he had this big smile, and he's talking about he just missed this place and everything about being there and stuff. And he was proud to be a Husker, and like his parents were watching him, as he did it, and they were there. And I just thought, like, this is a guy you hope he takes off on Sundays, because he was proud to be here, even though this program didn't take off and fly wins-wise. And it's too bad it didn't, because you talk about in this age of athletes marketing themselves and stuff, like he was kind of one of the first guys he had the Cam Juice thing, and it's stuff that would have taken off more if Nebraska had really got it going, I think, with on the field as a team, his individual like personality. But because that didn't happen, we've kind of missed out on seeing how some of that stuff can grow around here with NIL and stuff. But I think he would have been an example where it did.
I agree. BC, appreciate it. Have a great week.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Brian Christopherson. First interview we did, and he has always been a great interview because he's got a bunch of his personality is really good, and you don't know if he's joking or he's serious. But I remember one of our first questions was about his prowess, in high school in Montgomery, Alabama, playing quarterback. And he goes, "Did you see me play quarterback?" And I said, "Well, what are you going to start at in Nebraska?" And he goes, "Well, I want me to start on defense, but," he goes, "I can play quarterback in the Big Ten." He goes, "I can play." And we said, "Well, they have a guy named Adrian Martinez." He goes, "Yeah, but I can play quarterback in the Big Ten." I mean, in a rookie season of the guys of the last 5-6 years that have been drafted. I mean, tough to find anybody that's had a better start than Cam Taylor-Britt. I got Jack Stoll playing for the Eagles, so I mean, Nebraska's going to be represented. And but CTB is I didn't think that he would get to this point as quick as he had. I've always been a fan. I think he rode the roller coaster a bit, but when he was good, he was really good. But man, he was in an ideal situation, and he was filthy on Sunday.
Well,
they were not challenging him, and when they did, he was there to make a play.
Yeah, it was fun to see. And BC brings up the game. I think that always stands out to everybody in that Purdue game against David Bell and high pointing that ball on the interception. It gave you a glimpse of what he can do, especially when people were trying to challenge him. But I'm with you as far as surprising how quickly he's ascended in the NFL, because I remember when Zach Taylor, they go to the war room, they're like, hey, you got your Husker. And I'll admit, I kind of like, all right, cool. Is this the best guy available for you?
He was not projected to be a second round.
No,
guy.
He wasn't. And that's why I don't want to say like I mocked it or anything, but when someone goes, and you got your Cornhusker too, like, oh, well, that's the only reason Zach Taylor and the organization made that pick. I thought, okay, good luck with that. We'll see how quickly that goes, especially going that high up on a guy that, really was probably grading out to more of maybe at best a 4 in the 4th round. But yeah, it's worked out well. And it just kind of goes to show you he's always had that ability. It was as you mentioned, the roller coaster. We saw a lot of that, especially his last season. But as far as the ability when he's at his best, I mean, he's got elite level ability when he's at his best. And now that he's finding that confidence in the league, it's awesome to see. And I'm curious to see what type of heights it takes him to, especially being able to do it on the platform in the postseason. I mean, getting that game clinching interception too, just kind of put the cherry on top. It's great to see, but probably shouldn't be overly surprising that he can do it. It's just the fact that he's had this quick rise in his rookie season.
I think I'm glad that BC brought up the game against Penn State. So that's the game during the COVID year.
Yeah.
And he shut down Dotson. That's a game where he makes the pick. He gets a pick 6.
Yep.
And he was fantastic. He also, and this is probably one of the things going back on his Nebraska career is, and this is, I mean, the kind of athlete that he was, I thought he'd be utilized more on special teams, but he wasn't super comfortable full-time returning kickoffs or punts. Yeah. But in that Penn State game, he had a monster 25-yard punt return that set up a score for Nebraska right before a halftime. I mean, I think of all the games that he played in Nebraska, that Penn State game in the COVID year was maybe his best game. And he was going against an NFL wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And we saw the result in the following 2 years. So you all can root for the Huskers that are playing for the Bengals. But just remember, there is...
Keep thinking.
Boodle is not there.
Okay.
Yeah. That's okay.
Sorry, man.
That's okay. And you've got, I mean, the best Nebraska quarterback to be in the NFL, Joe Burrow.
So I thought we were talking Ohio State.
Ohio State claims him. LSU claims
LSU
him.
does, yeah.
Alabama claims Hurts. Oklahoma claims Hurts.
Yeah. Did you see they're replaying the Iowa State Oklahoma game earlier today?
That was
the Hurts versus Purdy, which was a fantastic.
Was it a 42-41? Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
All right. I wonder if Purdy has done enough, regardless of what happens on Sunday in Philadelphia, to be the 2023 starter.
I wondered that too.
Yeah. What's Trey Lance thinking right now?
Nashville.
What's Lynch thinking right now?
Make sure my phone is charged for all the people that need quarterbacks are going to call me about 2 I got on my roster.
Yep. And how quickly my bold elevator is working.
So it's kind of, maybe the glass slipper falls off this weekend, but you still have an exceptional defense, which I don't think that game's getting enough attention. I don't think the Eagles are getting enough attention.
Still.
But it could be like the Giants with Daniel Jones. So Daniel Jones has earned some money this season.
Yeah.
But in the biggest game, Daniel Jones looked way too much like the Daniel Jones under Joe Judge than under Brian Dable. Brock Purdy in a game against Philadelphia with a trip to go to the Super Bowl and be a rookie starter in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Which maybe the only other rookie that's gotten a snap in the Super Bowl is Cordell Stewart in a little mop-up time with the Steelers.
That's when he was slashed.
You're on the biggest stage. I mean, if all of a sudden you look like Brock Purdy 7th round pick,
that environment too.
What happens? Because the Giants will finish a deal with Daniel Jones.
Yes.
I think the Niners. I think he's done enough with that offense, with his offensive coordinator and Kyle Shanahan, that he will be the starter in 2023. I think it'd be tough to bring in a Trey Lance or bring Jimmy G back. Even though I guess Jimmy G might be active this weekend.
They did say that when it wasn't a season ender. They didn't feel like if they had a extended appearance in the playoffs that Jimmy G could be back from the original time that injury, that there was talk that he could be back if they make a run in the playoffs. But I mean, you're not doing that.
It will be the first team that probably is capable truly of when you say, Brock Purdy, we're daring you to beat us.
Yes.
And if he does, then he's got a job in 23.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be with the Niners in 23. It's just, will he be this opening day start?
Right.
All right, 9:31. We'll take a break. We have
got a stat.
Our stat, because you have a chance to win $100.
Yeah, we do. $100. Remember this stat, and this one I thought was really crazy as we were kind of talking some college basketball. In Kansas's little losing streak. The year 1989. That is the last time Kansas has lost consecutive games in the state of Kansas. They lose in Bramlage last Monday, then they lose at home against TCU. They have not lost consecutive games in the state of Kansas since 1989. 1989 is the number, or is the year to know.
Hey, Woodhouse Buick GMC. You're looking for a vehicle that meets your needs. For example, you need a truck. You need an SUV. You need a car. You need something that's going to keep you warm and safe this wintertime. You can find it all right now in a huge selection, new and pre-owned inventory at Woodhouse Buick GMC, 119th and I. Indoor showroom. Don't need to go outside. You can go inside where you can peruse and get in a vehicle that fits your needs. You can also do it online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. They streamline the entire process. Basically, Woodhouse is making it easy on you, because we know that at times it can be a hassle. But now with Woodhouse Buick GMC, top-notch customer service. They know you by name. They will meet your needs. They listen with their ears, not their mouth. Check them out today, 119th and I, or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A seasonal January day ahead for Tuesday. Watch out for areas of patchy fog in the morning, mainly north of the metro. I expect a few peaks of sunshine early, then clouding over for the afternoon. Highs in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
Join up, join in. It's time to make good on those New Year's fitness resolutions by becoming a member at Croc Center Omaha. There you'll find a full range of fitness activities, from free weights to Zumba classes to an indoor track, pickleball, and more. Join now and save. We'll waive the fees, plus you'll get 1 month free with an annual paid in full or auto pay membership. The Croc Center is just moments away from the Kennedy Freeway and Q Street. Go to omahacroc.org for more information. That's omahakroc.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. The red-hot Omaha Maverick hockey team finished their 6-game homestand last Saturday by shutting out the Miami Redhawks 2-0. They hit the road this weekend with a 5-game win streak as they head to Western Michigan. Maverick men's basketball was unable to fend off South Dakota, who beat the Mavs 84-68 last Saturday. The Mavs fall to 3-6 in league action. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Does eating at home have you singing the blues? Stop by Cobb's at the Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, or 72nd and Jones to grab a delicious pizza, burgers, fresh salad, and some tasty charred wings. They even offer keto crusts and an extensive variety of shareable appetizers. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Cobb's, now with 3 convenient locations to serve you. Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and 72nd and Jones. Click cobbspizza.com to see the menu, pizza, and so much more.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hello, Demetrius Bell, the wide receiver from Nashville, 4-star high school wide receiver. Just tweeted out he's going to announce at noon today. Let's see if Nebraska fans have been okay here and not responding or tweeting at him. No, not the case. Yeah.
I bet the first comment is GBR.
They're all Nebraska so far. So at noon today, Nebraska could pick up their 101st scholarship player.
Well, all right then.
Hey, it just means spring football is going to be loaded with competition.
Gonna have to buy a program. To be
I was
honest,
thinking of Jacob Hood, by the way. I thought he was making his announcement yesterday, but I know now I'm thinking it was Jacob Hood that was making his announcement yesterday. Never mind.
Who did make his announcement?
Who did make his announcement and chose Nebraska.
Yeah, yesterday's announcements are 3 development guys.
Yeah. Tight end, wide receiver, Georgia transfer offensive lineman.
Yes. He's a member of the Corn Dogs.
It's taking off.
Guys,
but if an NIL deal comes out of it, then it's okay.
Yeah, we were told that, there is a food truck.
All right, so I'm going to give a little love here on the texting machine. I have to find it where there's bombarded here.
Oh, with the
by the way, from a question I asked you earlier, Matt Davison is the voice on the.
The radio commercial didn't sound like him. It didn't sound like Matt. So, are you looking for the corn dog one?
I was looking for a couple of Matt drops just to compare.
Oh, okay.
Just to remind you of what he sounded like.
Do you want the Westerkamp one?
Oh. What you're going to find out, young Nick, is we have 112 Matt Davison drops in the system.
Let's lay him. Lay him out. I want to hear him.
That's on to Jimmy.
Okay.
I know there's some on this wall.
By the way, I know you guys don't watch wrestling. So I watched wrestling. I had nothing to do last night. So I was doing a little prep for basketball, but I was watching a lot of television last night. And so, I watched a lot of basketball.
Okay.
And then I watched Raw. You guys watch wrestling?
I don't.
So
I
Raw,
used to.
I used to about 20 years ago.
Raw was in Philly.
Yeah.
And Raw is celebrating its 30th anniversary.
Okay.
And they had a great open, a fantastic open, but they're in Philly. And Paul Heyman was letting everybody know that he's a big fan of Brock Purdy.
Oh.
He gave Brock Purdy a shout
Philly?
out in Philly.
Oh, that probably
so he was playing into the role.
Villain.
Do you know, and they brought back some former wrestlers, like Ric Flair was there last night. You know who a former wrestler that I still get like super excited about? And he looks, when he's not in his wrestling gear, he looks different. The Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
I will stop doing anything if The Undertaker is on my television or there's something about The Undertaker. There is something about him that has captivated me.
The epitome of intimidation. When I think of any sport or anything that would just strike fear in you, growing up, that was when I watched wrestling. The Undertaker scared the bejesus out of me. It was just, and the fact that that's still going strong, The Undertaker, like, I love it. That's great. I haven't watched anything detailed with pro wrestling, probably like Jimmy, probably at least 20, more than 20 years.
You guys,
I used to be a Hulkamaniac.
This ain't going to work.
I used to be a Hulkamaniac.
Every week, Monday Night Raw.
I can go WWF with you. I can talk about when the earthquake sat on Hulk Hogan and how devastated I was as a little Hulkamaniac.
Oh, we can go old school and new school.
Yeah, because I mean, Ultimate Warrior, Demolition, oh yeah.
But you got nothing going on. So Monday and Friday nights, you need guys start watching wrestling. So we can have
Friday nights, really.
I can just hear this at home. You're watching what?
Record it.
I get sleepy after 9, unless there's a sporting event on.
So you're adjusting.
I am adjusting. I'm adjusting.
11:45. Boom.
I know when you said 11:45. Like I said, I was already in my REM cycle.
But I would highly recommend The Last Ride, the documentary on The Undertaker. I mean, it's a little bit sad because his body has broken down.
I'm sure.
Oh man.
But he kept wrestling.
Yeah.
Man, he was there last night. I'll tell you, I was a little giddy. I was like, one more time. One more time.
How old is he?
Dang. How?
He's got to be in his 50s by now.
Oh,
he is.
I would think older.
No, you know what? I think Mark is. Are you supposed to give away their name?
You guys are on first name basis. That's cool, man.
57.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old's Hulk Hogan? He's in his 60s.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably parts of his body a little bit older.
Slightly.
Yes. All right. One quick question before we break. You can answer it on the other side. The Chiefs and the Jaguars played on Saturday at Arrowhead.
Mm-hmm.
This is a picture that has been shared. This is also from my TikTok takeaway.
Okay, good. At 11:45.
Did you? No, this was earlier in the day.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just making sure. I didn't know if the TikTok was just a late night thing or what.
I'm like,
it's a guilty pleasure.
I'm like everyone. You know what? When we got a little downtime and you're waiting in line or something, and I'm on my phone.
Well, I am too, but I'm not on TikTok.
Did you guys have seen the Potato Girl at Arrowhead?
Yeah.
No, I have not seen Potato Girl.
So there was a young lady. I would say she's probably in her, late 20s, early 30s. Big Chiefs fan, sitting up in the 300 level. It looked like at Arrowhead, but she was in the more bougie 300 level because she was closer to the field.
Yeah,
and so those tickets are a little bit more expensive than if you're up by the roof.
Yeah, by the lights.
Yeah. So she took a potato out of her pocket, which if you have to add something to the potato, that just tells you that a potato is not good.
Right,
okay?
right.
Like just a regular potato is not good. Y'all add like bacon bits and chives
sour
and
cream.
butter, sour cream.
Loaded.
Yeah. But you don't ever eat just a potato, just regular, right? So it needs something.
Yeah.
It's out. It's out on my category.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys be out on a girl that all of a sudden pulled a raw potato out of her pocket and just started eating it? But there's more to this story. So she is doing this. We all have needs. And there is a Jacksonville fan that is taking a picture of her while she's eating the potato, and she caught the person, and she called this person out on Twitter because he put it out there. She searched it, found it, and then she, got into a discussion with him, and she is the Kansas City Potato Girl. Would that be a deal breaker if you were with somebody and like at a public place and they just pulled out a potato and started eating it raw?
Well, we'd have a long talk. We'd have a very long talk.
I'd be friends with them because they're got to be interesting. But that's about it.
Now, I feel like you're setting this up on if you were dating a girl and she did this.
Well, like what if on a date?
Yeah. That this would
I'd be very curious on if I was on a date, why she felt the need to have a potato in her pocket.
Right. There's a lot of questions I'd have, so I think this would be a pretty lengthy conversation. Now, hey, depending on how old I would be at the time, like I could be a shallow guy, like, looks do help remedy that situation. More intrigue than anything on why.
So this guy,
was it warm? Keeping her warm?
This Jacksonville. I don't know that eating a potato keeps you warm.
No, it was like the potato in her pocket warm was part of its job to maybe
not sure I wasn't in
be
her
warm.
Pocket. Jay Kill from Jayville is the person that took the picture. He said, KC fan eating a baked potato out of her pocket, and then a bunch of throw up emojis. So then the KC Potato Girl responded, I caught you taking my photo as well, but I enjoyed a baked potato and a win. How about you?
It's a good response.
She has a Twitter?
So it was baked.
Yeah,
It wasn't just a raw potato.
So her Twitter handle is Nick Knack Patty Whack 6.
Yeah.
Casey Potato Girl.
This picture, she looks pissed.
She's only following 5 people, so I think she created this Twitter account.
The Casey Potato Girl.
Yeah.
She's leaning into it now. What's she pissed about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, she was eating a potato. I think I would look kind of awkwardly too if somebody was.
See, she said baked potato. So I have a feeling part of the reason behind the baked potato was also stay warm. You got that in your pocket. There's at least one area of your body that's going to be a little more warm with that baked potato. Although then you're losing.
People are saying it's staged, by the way.
The warmth. Oh, is it?
People are saying it's staged.
Oh.
Yep.
See, that just ruins it. If you know it's staged, don't ruin that.
All right. So we read earlier a reply to Trev's picture with Matt Rule and Mike Gabinet at Baxter Arena yesterday. And somebody tweeted at Trev, Omaha hockey is fun. You should attend a game. This person responds, are you single?
What? Responded to that person saying
They
it?
responded to the Casey Potato Girl, said, are you single? I think they should let you bang the drum. Okay. Don't ever go away, this website. Please do not ever go away. Yeah. Amazing Daniel says, as someone who has way too many things that my significant other has to tolerate, I don't think I have any ground to stand on if she wants to eat a plain potato.
Yeah. I don't. It's not a deal breaker. I'll give you that. It's not a deal breaker, but it is something that it strikes intrigue. I'd love to know why this compared to anything else that you could have in your pocket and decide to eat. Again, I do think that there's a heat element to it. Very chilly at that game. That maybe you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone on that. You're staying warm and you got a snack for later. But yeah, I would want to know why a potato. I feel like there's other ways that you could go around this. And I don't know the type of pants that she's wearing, but trying to smuggle a potato into the pocket, it would be a challenge for me. And I know most jeans for females tend to be a little tighter than what I would wear. I just have a lot of questions. Are you worried that might smash? And then if it does, I mean, hopefully you don't have keys in there because that's just going to be more than what you'd want to deal with. Like Shannon Sharp said to T. Moran, these aren't the problems you want. You don't want these problems. You don't want these problems. You definitely don't want those problems. Yeah.
Famous from a potato.
I have a lot of questions. Can we get her on?
No, we don't. We're gonna. It looks staged. I think it's staged.
If it's, but okay. But why a potato?
I was almost all on board, and then the staged. Yeah, I'm out.
Damn it.
Yeah,
that makes me mad.
All right, so we killed that off, and John says, "Stop it! We are not doing the corn dogs."
I agree with you, John.
That's fair.
We tried the Calabrasca. It led to nothing.
So the 3 Georgia transfers probably will take a picture together, and someone will tag it corn dogs.
Yep,
it's coming.
Corn dogs.
And John will lose his mind.
Corn dogs. Okay. With a W.
Eric on the texting machine. Fridge cooled raw potato with salt is one of the best underrated snacks ever.
Fridge cooled raw potato with salt. I don't know.
Jimmy, I think you got a homework assignment today.
Eat a potato?
Fridge
cooled. Fridge cooled,
cooled.
And then put salt on it and let us know tomorrow how it tastes.
So can we get clarity? Is it you get the normal baked potato in the oven and then you just get a little bit fridge cooled?
No, I want to know, does he want it raw?
It's the raw.
Like an apple.
Yeah, you got to be raw dogging.
No.
There it is.
No. Only Creed will eat the raw potato. No, I wouldn't do it.
Put a wrap on this show after this.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone. It's time to win Gary's Booty. Be caller 4 right now at 402-951-1620. That's caller 4 at 402-951-1620. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620. The Zone. The Connor Happer Show.
There's no one in the history of sport who loves to hit you with a video of himself chopping wood at 4:30 in the morning more than Justin James Watt. And he wants you to know about it because you're lazy and he's the hardest worker in the room. I say, if we're going to be okay with putting mediocre players in the Hall of Fame, then sure, what better place to start than J.J. Watt? Wow.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620. The Zone.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. The red-hot Omaha Maverick hockey team finished their 6-game homestand last Saturday by shutting out the Miami Redhawks 2-0. They hit the road this weekend with a 5-game win streak as they head to Western Michigan. Maverick men's basketball was unable to fend off South Dakota, who beat the Mavs 84-68 last Saturday. The Mavs fall to 3-6 in league action. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Before new Cascade Platinum Plus, I would pre-rinse all my dishes because my old detergent just wouldn't get them clean. But now I do dishes differently. And no pre-wash, no rewash, money-back guaranteed kind of different. Because Cascade Platinum Plus has double the grease fighting power of Dawn built right in with twice the scrubbing power, giving me a clean that lets me break all the dish rules. I just scrape, load, and I'm done. Yep, so clean. With Cascade Platinum Plus, I dare to dish differently.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, it's Apper for the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's finally time in the NFL for Conference Championship Weekend, and it's time for you to get involved with the FanDuel Sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account because they're giving all customers a no-sweat same-game parlay for Championship Weekend. That means you'll get free bets back if your Conference Championship game same-game parlay doesn't hit. Player props, touchdown props, interception props, they are going to be all over the board for the Conference Championship games on Sunday. You parlay a couple together, and you've got yourself cooked up a nice little same-game parlay. Or if you can't decide on what to do, you could ride with thousands of other fans and bet popular same-game parlays that are already up on the FanDuel app. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up using the promo code HAPPER and see for yourself why it's America's #1 sportsbook. Or if you already have FanDuel, you can start building your no-sweat same-game parlay right now. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus, $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Jerry is vouching here from the Equitable Bank inbox as we close out the show. We ate raw potatoes with salt all the time when I was a kid. Sliced them like an apple and salted the slices. They were actually quite good. Thank you, Jerry.
Wow. Just
Jimmy?
the concept of eating a raw potato.
Jimmy, on your way home, stop at Hy-Vee.
Pick up a potato.
Grab a raw potato and some salt. Go home, try it, make a video, put it on TikTok. Let us know tomorrow morning.
I'll have to get a TikTok.
If you tweet at it, I'll see it.
Yeah, you can tweet at it.
Yeah,
you can tweet it out.
Tweet it out. Tweet it out.
put it on the gram on my story.
Or on the gram.
Yeah.
IG.
Yeah.
Facebook still thing?
Facebook it. Yeah, I'm not very active on Facebook.
Mastodon.
MySpace.
What did we come up with a couple months ago? Pretzel.
Yeah.
That's the one we got to get. Oh yeah, that was pre-Nick. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. We came up with our own.
You're not part of the pretzel community.
Your own social media community. Pretzel.
Yeah.
Pretzel.
I feel like that's going to take more than 5 minutes to explain to me.
Just never let this website go away.
No. I mean, it's been explained to you. We came up with our own new social media app. Call it Pretzel.
But I feel like
Now
there's a
you're-
reason why you're calling it Pretzel.
It was a long.
I feel like there's a story
conversation. Yeah.
That's fine.
Not sure exactly how we got there. But
Okay.
we did. We
Going to
had a-
Husker basketball? Oh, wait, that's tomorrow night. Never mind. Sorry. Are you still going to be able to make it?
Yeah, I mean, the people are inconvenienced by it.
I know.
And now Northwestern won. So
Yeah, they're riding the momentum. They're
we'll,
good.
we'll discuss that tomorrow because does 23-24 begin tomorrow night in Lincoln? And when you're 10-10.
Yeah.
Plus Creighton is in action against St. John's. So a great day of basketball, NBA, college, and then locally. If you have a chance, get out, catch a game, boys and girls, and don't forget Millard South and Liberty are wrestling over at Millard South at 6 tonight, and that is huge. It's for the bragging rights for Nebraska or Missouri.
Why on a Tuesday again? Why all this stuff on a Tuesday? No, I get the scheduling challenges for that.
Well, because let me tell you, as a Catholic guy that went to a Catholic school that had friends that, didn't go to a Catholic school, but they were Catholic, on Wednesdays, it's church night.
Yeah.
You got to go to CCD.
CCD, that's right.
CCD still a thing?
Chocolate covered donuts.
I got kicked out of it when I was a kid, so I'm sure.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think it still is.
Yeah, so you don't schedule stuff on Wednesday.
Yeah, CCD.
All right. One final one. Brandon says on Twitter, I love raw potatoes and did up until the beginning of the year when I turned 49 when I found out I have diabetes and high cholesterol.
Whoa, buddy. Okay.
Interesting way to end the show.
Jeez, man.
All right. Well, Brandon is a good contributor to the show. I know he's doing well.
Good.
All right.
Good to hear.
Speaking of that, again, do we need to check on Ed Foley and the amount of food in Nebraska he's consuming?
You think he has raw potatoes?
No.
No.
Boy, he might be.
I don't think so.
Do something to set Twitter off. Ed Foley eating a raw potato.
Yeah.
While he's waiting outside of a Nebraska high school.
Yep.
Sponsored by Metformin.
Boom.
Gold.
We'll see you tomorrow at 6.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio.